1 minute.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. It's a football Friday. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? Thanks so much for being with us as we head into a Labor Day weekend on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Top of the morning to you.
Morning, David. I feel like I could just grunt and make noises to the audience and they'd understand on a day like today. And they'd go, yes, 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 more.
Channeling your inner Madden this morning. Well done. Well done. Football didn't disappoint last night. It was good. I mean, it ended 13 minutes ago.
Yeah, I had the cot here in the studio and just rolled over.
I know we're like 2 of the 7 people nationwide that think that college football needs to shorten their games. But, you know, if you were okay with staying up till midnight last night and then coming in and doing a morning show, it was fantastic. Had some bad beats right out of the chute. Also, there were 3 half-point beats last night, including the 2 marquee games were both half-point beats or half-point wins, depending on what side you were on.
And the night when FCS almost beats, or the 1AA almost wins 2 games last night. 2 go to overtime, and the big boys or the little boys barely escape.
So, heck of a first night of the extravaganza. Would you agree?
It was terrific.
And so, kind of take your breath, tonight. You can catch your breath tonight. And then it really goes crazy beginning tomorrow. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us on this first Friday of the month, where we are less than a week away from the start of the NFL, oh, by the way, also. Football Friday, and every Friday we will have Lee Sterling on early in our 7 o'clock hour. He'll make his picks. Lee historically does very well, was doing great last year, had a rough final month, still ended up with a winning year, and also a winning year on his best bets, plays of the week, game of the week, whatever the case may be. So Lee Sterling in a little more than an hour. We then make our picks a little after 7:30. Super 7, are we going with that again?
We haven't done a Super 7 in several years. It was a fantastic 5 for the past several years. The problem is, David, is that you don't like to follow rules with this segment. When it was a Super 7, sometimes you'd have 11 picks.
Well, I was playing catch-up early, Mark. And so now that you do Fantastic 5 or whatever it is, I'm usually having to play catch-up early, and I'm doing 7. You could tell at that A, it's been, what did I write down on the paper there? Super 7.
Super 7.
Yep, wrote down 7 picks. So either I'm half asleep or I'm already feeling as if I'm playing catch-up.
Or you're just feeling it.
Well, there is that, because early in the season, come on. I mean, you're positive about everything.
Right.
I mean, I know who's winning these games. You kidding me? Bada bing, bada boom. One of the mantras on this show, angst. And sometimes we even use the H word, hatred.
Right.
It works in sports. particularly college sports, it's kind of like the oxygen to the entire industry, although the leaders of the industry now are just making money, the oxygen to the industry. But we've always believed that angst/hatred is really what has propelled and makes college sports thrive. Mark, you're not going to believe this. In a pro city, of which you are very familiar because you married into it, so to speak, that apparently they went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over this little college football game that they used to play every year, but now hadn't played in 11 years. And apparently the city was transformed like it was a Steelers game. And you had people covering the game who were saying, hey, leaders of the ACC and leaders of the Big 12 and of Pitt and West Virginia, respectively, if you guys can do one damn thing a year, could you please schedule this game?
You know, there's so much good this weekend in college football. You've got that game. We've talked about what's going on in North Carolina with both North Carolina and North Carolina State going on to take on little guys inside their own state. And last night, the backyard brawl came back. And that joint was jumping from the word go.
And it was a terrific game. Back and forth.
And it was, for 11 years off, the angst was there pretty damn quickly.
It's the only game they want to see played. I mean, there's got to be a way that you can collect the checks and still play this game, right? I mean, you've got 12 opportunities to play games a year. You've got at least 3, and in the ACC's case, 4 opportunities to schedule someone not from your conference. I mean, come on now. Figure it out. And I don't care what the schedule is going forward. Cancel some games. Buy your way out of some games. You screwed up. You got it wrong. You got to play this game every year. These fans loved this last night. West Virginia fans have a joy to them this morning despite losing by 7 because at least they played the damn game. I mean, it's as if all of a sudden Florida and Florida State are like, the schedule's just, it's too tight. It's too busy. Can't do it. Can't do it. Would love to do it, but, I mean, we got things we got to do. You got things you got to do. And so I don't know what to do. It looks like we're not going to be able to play this game for a while. Well, for how long? I don't know, 11 years?
Well, it's happened with Texas and Texas A&M for other reasons, but it certainly has happened. And now after they join the same conference again, it looks like that rivalry will come back. Oklahoma and Nebraska will play each other again this year.
And they did last year, so they scheduled a home and home, but then there's, no sign that they're going to do it again anytime soon. So that's all. Listen, to the folks running college sports, make all the damn decisions that you're going to make for all the damn money that you're going to make, but there's got to be a way to give everybody involved the one little thing that they want.
There is. It's really easy. Conference champions qualify for whatever playoff you're in. If you do that, then these games don't matter. But everybody wants to put a caveat on it. Well, you've got to go 8. You've got to be at least in the top 12 or in the top 16. You know what? If you win your damn conference and you get in, if you want to assure these games, that's how you assure these games happening. There is no other way to do it because people need wins. We all know what losses do to the system.
Well, then you're arguing with Greg Sankey because Sankey is the one holding up that to be the law of the land. And his reasoning is that he doesn't want essentially a 9-4 team making the playoff. That if by chance, however it is you set up your conference and an 8-4 team is in the conference championship game and then they happen to win it. And he's like, come on, they shouldn't be one of the, whatever the number is.
Greg, can I talk to you for just a second?
Sure.
Because I know that you don't realize there are other football leagues that go on. And you run the most important college football league in the damn land, but not the most important football league that there is. That's the National Football League. And once a decade, someone wins a division with a terrible record, sometimes under 500.
Like Washington did 2 years ago at 7-9.
Thank you, but I'm talking to Greg here.
was just sliding a note on the table.
Thanks.
That's all.
Next time, blue card.
Okay, well, it's a blue card, and it was to you, though. It was
Thank
actually
you.
it was to you.
But Greg, this National Football League has done quite well, despite once a decade, a team with a losing record makes the playoff. They get knocked out, and we move on. It's really simple. If you want these games to continue, you have to give an automatic qualifier for Power 5 conference champions.
This is where I'll slide you a little note that college football attendance right now is at its lowest level since 1981.
That's a hell of a great point. And what was that game last night between Pitt and West Virginia? Were there any seats left?
No, it was completely sold out.
Right.
I mean, not even the Steelers could have sold more seats than
right.
what the Pitt Panthers
all around
did.
in the
right. Yeah. People came to town early, spent a lot of money in the city, too. It was like their own cocktail party.
It looked like there were way more West Virginia fans there.
Well, and I don't know if that was the case because, quite frankly, the team colors in with the seats
it didn't sound that
similar.
Way.
Okay, but it was awesome. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, you had neutral members of the media who were there who were like, man, this is fantastic. Now, when the hell have they said that about a Pitt or a West Virginia game in the last 10 years? Seriously. And Pitt played for the ACC championship last year. What game had more juice? Seriously.
Last night.
Right. Come on now. Just give us what we want. We're willing. I mean, come on. We're fans. We're willing to take a lot of crap. I mean, we are. We're good at it. I mean, we show up basically with the slicker on, the rain slicker. We know that the monsoon is coming. We're okay with it. We walk in the door, we take the slicker off, we take off the boots and what have you. Or, hey, it's Florida, it's water, it's warm. Okay, so we're willing to get soaked. It's okay. We sign up for it.
Right, we're guys. We don't carry umbrellas. That's
right.
Our wife's job.
Right. But, I mean, at some point, you got to give us a little something that we're looking for. Not asking for much. So, all right, I wanted to get that off my chest. I mean, listen, I don't want to say that it's a football Friday and we're fired up, but our poll question's already done.
Done up before the show started.
Huh? Yeah.
Our Friday guest list, our guests have guests for crying out loud.
See what I'm talking about?
Lee Sterling coming up in a little over an hour to give us his picks. Pat Kirwan at 8 o'clock. Chris Landry to break down college football at 8:38. And Mike Glennon, former NFL and NC State QB, to talk a little ACC football in the bonus hour.
Huh? That's how we roll here on a football Friday. Miller and Moulton. But the poll question's pretty simple. Got the Gators, you got the Noles. They're both 3-point dogs. So who's got the better shot to win?
Florida, Florida State, both or neither?
There you go. Bada bing, bada boom. Florida State's playing the easier team, but they're on the road. Florida's playing the tougher team, but they're at home. They don't lose their home opener. 89 is the last time they lost their home opener. 89.
89. And the Utes are coming.
It's hot and it's humid, boys. I don't know if you're aware.
There's no way to prepare for that.
And we might even just throw in a thunderstorm just for the heck of it so you can get the whole damn experience. By the way, Swamp sold out as well.
I hope so.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening, Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers,
Are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Five favorites. What a shocker.
You took 5 favorites, huh?
That's a shocker. Now, 2 of them are under 1.5 points.
Bud went 4-1 last night. He's already 11-3 against the number this year.
Did he put them out before or no?
Or he put it out on a podcast or whatever.
I think I'd love Florida State versus LSU.
I don't have the guts.
What?
Take Florida State.
I'm taking Florida State.
So am I, Felipe.
Screw Brian Kelly.
Well, you better get him now.
Got that right.
Yep, that's very true.
So I was telling Jake. Jake's like, "What? Are they that bad?" And we're going because his roommate's Big Ellis, just from families from Louisiana. I'm like, Jake, Florida State might get him Sunday. They wouldn't get him if they played him at the end of the year. When he starts getting players, look out.
You can get players in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
He got players at Notre Dame. You don't think he's going to be able to get players at LSU?
Where they've got fourth, there was my buddy in high school. We had a kid, Tony Jackson, really good running back, ended up going to Vandy. In Sundeck, 4.3s don't grow on trees. Because he was a fast kid. I'm like, you know what, in Louisiana, you know what they do grow on? 4.3s grow on trees in Louisiana. You know what speed there is in that damn state? You wait and see what they look like in 2 years.
4.3s don't grow on trees. Nice. It's a bar. Also, how about this kid from Atlanta?
How about he set a Braves
record for 16 strikeouts? That's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Think about some of the pitching.
How did Greg Maddux?
Yeah, but they didn't, because guys hit the ball.
That's true.
This is a joke.
That's
I'm sorry.
true.
Seth's right. I've watched more baseball in the last month than I have in the last 5 years. All effing guys do is strike out. Bad guys throw 10 Ks a game.
Well, maybe the pitching has gotten better.
No. Everybody's trying to swing for the fences. They've changed the tactics of how you hit the baseball. You take pitches and don't put balls in play.
There's no more contact hitters, or very few. What's
That's a hell of a bat.
Yeah, what's this guy's
Ball's in the dirt, 4 feet off the plate.
He's a rookie, too.
I did not watch a second of Fox pregame or halftime. I had to put the damn doubles on for part. I had to turn Central Michigan and Oklahoma State off for the doubles. It's killing me.
Venus and Serena lost, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
It was actually a good match.
So is Serena back on tonight?
Yes.
Damn. That was a talking game tonight.
Yes, it is, RCB.
Better win.
But you got to take all 3 if you're going to win the division. I don't think 2 or 3 does a damn thing for him.
You're most likely right. But I will say 2 out of 3 make him 4 in the loss column.
Do they play him again?
I don't know.
RCB, do they play again after this? Do they play in New York one more time?
Starling. Look at Kershaw.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They play in a week, actually. They're going to play like 6 of their next 9.
Okay. So what do you think? 4 of 6, 5 of 6? What do they have to get?
And
Get 4 or 6, you change it to what?
3 in the loss
3 in the
column.
loss column.
We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
.21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. You know, there's actually a lot going on in the sports world that's not football related. I mean, are we allowed to talk about it?
You've got a couple of minutes. Go. Isn't that what that starting five's for?
Well, if you really want to limit the non-football discussion, you could just limit it to that one segment, the 6 o'clock hour. I mean, you could.
And I know it's out there because last night I had the 3 TVs out. I've got Purdue, Penn State on one TV. I got West Virginia, Pitt on another. I got Central Michigan, Oklahoma State. And the wife says, "What happened to my doubles?"
Oh. Look,
At 8 o'clock, I flipped the third game on. And all of a sudden, she looks up and she says, "What happened to the doubles?" Fortunately, Oklahoma State took a pretty big lead early.
I was going to say, you know, you may only have like 2-3 days left of tennis in your married life, for goodness sakes, at this point. I mean, you know, Serena's career could end tonight. I mean, you know, how many more times you going to have her say, "Hey, put the tennis on"?
You're right.
I mean, is she a Rafa fan?
No, not at all.
So now is she, you know, Federer's basically done. He's hoping to play next year's Wimbledon, but his knee right now, it looks as if he's played his last match. I mean, is she a Joker fan?
No, of the 3, she was a Federer fan of the 3.
Right. So, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I mean, you may be able to just eliminate an entire sport from your repertoire here.
Arch typed it. I actually said it when she said that with 3 TVs on. I said, doubles are on in the bedroom. Did not go over very well.
Look at that. Well, you figured week 1. I mean, if you're going to try something like
Throw
that,
it out.
try it early. Right.
Isn't it time for you to go to bed? There's football on. I'll deal with you in February.
Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, FloridaSportsNetwork.com. But, yeah, you know, you got this baseball thing going on. It's September. I mean, you know, hello, we're getting near the end. That's how it works. I mean, so, you know, these games are fairly important. Got a couple of interesting races, a chance to actually have a race in the AL East if a certain series goes a certain way in St. Pete this weekend.
Rays and Yankees in St. Pete, and the Rays are what? What are they back in the loss column?
I believe they are 5 back in the loss column. I think they're 6 back overall, 5 back in the loss column. They play the Yankees in 6 of their next 9 games. I mean, obviously you would love to sweep one series and win 2 out of 3 in the other, but just win a couple series.
Get 4 or 6.
You'd be 3 back in the loss column with 3.5 weeks left in the season. 3 back in the loss column. In theory, now they got a series in the middle against the Red Sox, and let's face it, it's the Red Sox against an AL East opponent, so Red Sox are likely to lose a bunch of games because they haven't won many series against AL East teams this year. And the Rays have at least 2 more series left with the Red Sox. But, I mean, what if the Rays just take 2 out of 3 this weekend? Be 4 back in the loss column, 5 back overall. With a good almost 30 games left in the season. I mean, I think the Rays have, 33 games left? So if the Rays take 2 out of 3, they'll be 4 back in the loss column with 30 to play.
And after that tremendous start by the Yanks, they're an under 500 ball club from that point on.
Significantly, especially lately, like in their last 50 games, they're 10 or more games below 500. There's enough time here. If a game a week and you're right there, you're either tied or a game back when this thing's over. A game a week. Because trust me, Yankees innocent, believe it or not, they won't be talking about anything else. They won't be talking about the Jets and the Giants. They won't even be talking about the Mets, and for a little bit of the Mets and the Braves. I mean, the Mets are really popular. That's a baseball city. Do not kid yourself. They'll be all over. They literally on Sunday will take a break. Hey, Giants and Jets playing today. And then come Monday, they'll be right back on the Yankees choking like big hairy dogs. They'll be all over them.
Yeah, just get 2 or 3 this weekend.
Totally.
Just start putting the pressure on them.
There you go. 5 back, 4 in the loss column. I mean, think about it. If you're the Rays, if you can slowly, methodically make the AL East as close as the NL East, they'll start freaking out in New York. Freaking. Oh, my goodness. We're pulling a 78 Red Sox, and Judge is having a career year, and we're losing, and we may lose him. Oh, my goodness.
And the Yankees are still a team that have 74 beat writers in the clubhouse every day asking the same questions of the players. Can you hold on to the lead?
So how come you guys are losing?
Why are you losing? I mean, we've already seen Boone slapping his hand on a table when they had a 10-game lead in the division. Imagine what's the pressure is going to be like if all of a sudden this gets to 3 games.
And meanwhile, if you're the Yankees, you're like, all right, can we just end this thing already? We got 2 series coming up. If we take both of them, this sucker's over. All right?
It's over.
Enough of this. Got guys back healthy. We'll line the rotation up. Let's go.
But we know all the Yankees play in front of bad crowds. I mean, they didn't do well in Oakland. They may not do well at the Trop.
Although, actually, out in Oakland, they lost the games in front of people. I guess they had
it was their fans.
Right. They had big celebrations on the weekend also. So there was actually some A's fans that showed up. But, yes, when they played the game before 10,000 on a Friday, they won. 30,000 showed up, and they freaked out. We kid. Miller and Moulton. But, had a big NBA trade yesterday, had a huge NFL signing yesterday. I mean, there are actually a few things going on out there.
You okay with that NBA trade?
I'm fine. Now, see, I'm fine.
Okay, well, you were a Knicks fan. It's the guy
and
that
I
they
am
wanted.
A Knicks fan. And I am a Knicks fan, and they didn't get a guy who wanted to play for them and who they wanted. Listen, sometimes you get outbid. Sometimes you just got to go, well, I don't know what to tell you. They offered – the Knicks at one point offered 7 players and picks. 7. Donovan Mitchell, a superstar? No, he's an all-star. He's a really good player. You want to call him great? Call him great. All right, Donovan Mitchell's not the kind of player put a team on his back and carry him to the Final Four, though. No. Donovan Mitchell can win you a playoff series. He can't win you 2. He's a 6'1" guard, scores 25 points a game. He's a terrific player. Nice to have on your team. If you're going to be a championship team, he needs to be your second best player. And the Knicks basically said, listen, Danny Ainge running the Utah Jazz. Danny, if we give you what you want, we won't have enough assets left to get the guy who needs to be better than him. So we're drawing the line here. We're only going to give you 4 first-round picks. Sorry, only 4.
Well, I think they could have got the deal done if they would have unprotected all of those picks. That seems to be the difference in the whole trade, is that they wouldn't let those picks be unprotected, and Cleveland let all 3 of the picks be unprotected.
Right.
So Utah controls the Cleveland draft for the rest of the decade.
Right. And the Knicks only had left 2 of their 4 unprotected, so that they had 2 more unprotected picks because they're thinking about that second move. So, no, I have no problems with it. None whatsoever.
Kevin Cavaliers are about to be really good.
Yes, absolutely they are. Cavs are a top 4 team in the East. They're set up.
Kept a lot of their young core. Didn't have to give up, Sexton's the main guy they gave up.
And they've been trying to get rid of him for a year. So they got rid of the guy they wanted to get rid of. Here's also the one caveat. They have one basically first-round pick they can call their own in the next 5-6 years. It's the 2024 first-round pick. What teenager right now that we know is going to be available in the 2024 draft?
Bronny.
Yep.
So there's Cleveland, in which in theory, basically the group they have now is the group that they're going to send out for the next 5 years to do whatever it is they're going to do. But they still got that one little asset here to bring who back home. Yep. We can go draft this kid, and then he's coming, and then hot steaming deal. So it's a good day. Good day for the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. Starting fives next.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. There you go.
Spitz marketing is sneaky good. He was really good in Chicago. But he's rotting in Utah, where he will contribute decent play to a otherwise shitty team. Sad.
That's nice.
Right. No, but your first, second game up.
Right. By the way, they won back-to-back shutouts for the Orioles. They've had 13 shutouts this year. They had 11 total in the 4 years previous, combined.
By the way, I don't know. Did the Ghosts score late in that one? Because they covered by 3.
The line was 35?
34 and a half.
Yeah, okay.
I got it. No, they didn't even score in the fourth quarter. Didn't even score in the boy. That would have been the late grunter, though, coming the other way.
Sure.
New Mexico State's bad. It's just in.
Well, some people think March.
October's, well,
that would be the one I would nominate is October.
And now into November with the series going that long. Late October, early November is going to be spectacular. You'll have all 4 majors going.
Oh, yeah. I'd say October for sure.
And then also it's even if you're into NASCAR, it's the very end of the NASCAR season.
Yeah, isn't October the sports equinox? I'll never forget. Was it Game 1 of the 2016 World Series? It was the same night as the Cavaliers' ring night. And they beat the Warriors and they came back from a 3-1 deficit. And Cleveland was rocking.
Sure.
Man. Got the World Series down the street. Cavs getting their rings. That was awesome.
Right. You had LeBron in the suite watching the World Series that year.
Mm-hmm. Acting like he knows more than 10 people on that team.
Well, also he's a Yankees fan.
Right. And a Cowboys fan, apparently.
Yep. I will say, though, you can adopt, the city that you're playing in, this teams as your second favorite. But he did, I'll give him credit, while he was playing for the Cavs, when Cleveland and the Yankees would play in the playoffs, he would wear the Yankees hat.
SMH. Never went to any Dolphins games, let's tell you that for sure. Did go to Canes games. I will say that. Yeah, Spitz, they have K-Love on the bench, too.
Thanks, Benny. Have a great road trip.
Ten seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Football Friday, first Friday of September. As we head into a Labor Day weekend, we will be off Monday. Best of on Monday, and then Thanksgiving, right? Our next day off?
Yes.
After Monday?
Yep. That's it.
So we go Labor Day, we go Thanksgiving, and heck, with Christmas Eve on a Saturday and Christmas on a Sunday, I mean...
Does not bode well.
No, it really doesn't. So we'll be working. It's football season. It's what we do. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Lee Sterling makes his picks in 40 minutes. We make ours in an hour. It is time for...
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, the headline games delivered last night. Penn State, a 3.5-point favorite at Purdue. Sean Clifford throws a pick 6 in the fourth quarter. Purdue's come back from 11 down. They've got the 3-point lead. They had a chance to put Penn State away. Couldn't do it, Mark. Had to punt the ball back with a little over 2 minutes to go, and Sean Clifford said, well, I screwed it up. I might as well win it. And a nice final drive, 72 yards. Throws the game-winning touchdown with under a minute to play. Penn State, 3.5-point favorite, wins by 4.
Yeah.
35-31. Meanwhile, at the stadium formerly known as Heinz, the backyard brawl, back and forth it went. West Virginia scored 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to take a 7-point lead. Pitt with a long drive to tie it with 4 minutes to go, and then they get the pick six. 2 touchdowns within 43 seconds to win it.
Can't fault Daniels, the quarterback, for the pick six. It was a tip ball. It was perfectly thrown right in the hands of the receiver and bounces off of the hands into the Pitt defender who goes the other way.
Pitt, 7.5-point favorite, wins by 7, 38-31. Oklahoma State and Central Michigan combined for 1,077 yards, 161 plays, and 102 points. 58-44, the 12th-ranked Cowboys beat the MAC team. UCF destroyed South Carolina State, 56-10. FIU survives.
Oh, man, did they survive.
They trailed 16-0. Then they took a fourth-quarter lead, only to trail by 3 with 43 seconds to go when Bryant, yes, that football powerhouse Bryant, scored. Give FIU credit. They drove down, kicked a tying field goal at the gun, and after Bryant scored first in overtime, FIU scored, went for 2, and won it. 38-37 against Bryant. It doesn't bode well for the rest of the year, does it?
It really does not, David.
Missouri destroyed La Tech 52-24. Minnesota shut out New Mexico State 38-0. They won by 38. What was the spread?
34.5.
There you go. Tennessee destroyed Ball State 59-10. The college football presidents, otherwise known as the Board of Managers, will hold a virtual meeting today. How about that? They may change the sport entirely, and they're not even all in the same room. Could change the playoff from 4 to 12 teams and also accelerate the new playoff system, which right now, if there's going to be a new system, it'll go into place in 2026. But apparently, if these guys vote unanimously to make changes, the system might get moved up to 2024. There's also, however, a 50-50 chance there's no vote. The thought being basically if they can't vote 11-0, they're not going to vote because they figure the only way that they'll get change quickly is if it's 11-0. And if they vote and it's 9-2, that when the conference commissioners would have you meet next week, they'll hem and haw and nothing will get done until 2026. But if these guys vote 11-0, then the pressure will be on the conference commissioners and Jack Swarbrick next week to be like, well, damn, our bosses want change. We better get our together and give them change. So pay attention to that story before the games kick off tonight. We might have some news. It happened during our show yesterday in the NFL. Russell Wilson and the Broncos. He still has 2 years left on his contract that he signed with the Seahawks, which, by the way, only pays him $24 and $27 million the next 2 years. I mean, if you're Denver, that's pretty damn cap friendly.
It really is.
And then by the time his 5-year, $245 million extension kicks in, well, hell, the cap will be huge. About 2/3 of that contract's guaranteed. It's, one of the 3 biggest contracts and one of the 3 most guaranteed amounts of money in NFL history. And that'll last for maybe a week until Lamar signs his deal. And then, of course, we got Burrow and Herbert, and you know the drill. Some injury news yesterday. Eagles lost their swing tackle, Andre Dillard, to a broken forearm. They think he won't be lost for the season, but he'll be lost for a good chunk of it. Titans did lose their top pass rusher. It's a big loss. Harold Landry tore his ACL. He had 12 sacks last year. These guys don't grow on trees. If you're the Titans, JPP, Sue, do you have to do something?
I think you have to go to get JPP. Come on. You're trying to win that division. You're trying to be a playoff team. You think you're a contender. You've got to go out and replace some of those sacks.
Do you call the Bears and trade for the D end who had 12 sacks last year, is in the final year of his deal and wants out? Just saying. Giants cut middle linebacker Blake Martinez, and apparently it was mutual. Because Martinez figured out, I'm a starter in name only. I don't really fit in this system. And so he kind of went to the Giants, and they talked, and they both agreed, you know what, we'd be better off, both of us, if you're no longer here. So Giants only saved, however, a very small amount against the cap. And remember a couple days ago, the news was O.J. Howard was signing with the Bengals. Remember? It was reported.
Just passed the physical.
Yeah. Well, he signed with the Texans yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah. So what's up with wonder what happened there. But O.J. Howard's a Houston Texan. Major League Baseball. You know, the Orioles aren't going anywhere.
No, they're not.
In fact, first 2 days of September, they beat Cleveland back-to-back both days, shut them out both days in Cleveland. 3-0 the final yesterday. Guardians lead, by the way, down to a game over the Twins in the Central. And Baltimore's just a game and a half back of the Jays for the final playoff spot. Seattle shut out Detroit 7-0. Mariners now tied with the Rays for the 4 seed. Mets beat the Dodgers 5-3. They took 2 of 3 in that series. However, the big story, when you think, Kershaw came back 5 innings after a rough first inning where he walked 3 guys and gave up a run. He retired 13 in a row to end the game. So good news for Kershaw and the Dodgers. Braves kept pace, 3-0 over Colorado. Is that pitcher's name? Stryker? The rookie's name?
That had the 16 strikeouts?
A franchise record in Atlanta.
Yes, Strider.
Rookie pitcher, 16 strikeouts, no walks. That's only been done 5 times in like the last 40 years by a rookie. Braves stay 3 back, but he broke John Smoltz, Atlanta Braves franchise record. I have no idea if like Spahn or Sane with the Milwaukee Braves had more than 16, but you got to admit, it is pretty good if you set an Atlanta Braves pitching record.
I agree.
Although they do strike out a lot these days.
You think?
They? We had 8 games yesterday in the majors, and 4 of them were shutouts. Mentioned Baltimore shut out Cleveland, Seattle shut out Detroit, Atlanta shut out Colorado, and Arizona shut out Milwaukee. Man, the Brewers are fading. They're 6.5 back of the Cardinals, and they're 3 back of the Padres for the final playoff spot in the National League. White Sox have won 2 in a row without La Russa, 7-1 over Kansas City. They're 4 back in the Central. Boston scored 4 in the 9th to beat Texas 9-8. And Washington beat Oakland 7-5 and 10. NBA, major trade yesterday. Cleveland Cavaliers acquiring Donovan Mitchell from Utah for 5 first-round picks and 3 players. 3 of the first-round picks are unprotected. 2 of them are pick swaps. And 2 of the 3 players are Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. So Cavs gave up a lot, but they're a good team next year and for the foreseeable future. Tennis, top seed on the women's side, Swiatek beat Sloane Stephens 3-2. 4th seed, Badosa's out, however, so seeds 2, 3, and 4 on the women's side out. They're not greasing the skids for a Serena run here, are they?
They're giving it every shot, aren't they?
You know, for those that didn't get to experience Connor's run to the semis in 91 as he turned 39 years old, this would be every bit that, maybe more.
It would be more.
As Serena is 3 weeks away from 41. She plays her 3rd round match tonight.
And she's a bigger star than Connors ever was. And Connors was a great player.
Yes, he was.
Great player. But nowhere near the star power that Serena Williams has. If this goes on, David, I mean, you've talked about it, what the TV numbers were on Monday to watch a first-round U.S. Open match. 3 million people? Oh, no. This gets to next week, David. It's bordering on epic.
Man, I hope it gets to next week.
I do, too.
Because remember, Connors actually took out much like Serena took out the second seed in the second round, Connors took out like the 12th ranked player in the world in round 2 or 3. And it was kind of like, oh, wait, what happened here? Then he had the epic 4th round match on Labor Day against Krickstein, and then the epic Thursday night match against Harhus, you know, when he had that great rally and the place went nuts, and he came back and he won in 4. And next thing you know, Jimmy's in the semis at 39. Man, you know, every 30 years we should have something like this.
You're darn right.
It's good for the soul. Nadal, a winner in 4 last night. He lost the first set and was down an early break in the second set, and then, well, he woke up. By the way, the Williams sisters got beaten doubles yesterday. Likely the last time we'll ever see them play doubles. Golf, the LPGA Tour's in Ohio. 3 tied for the lead at 6 under. 8 one shot back at 5 under, including Lydia Ko, Lexi Thompson, and Leona Maguire. And the LIV gets underway in Boston with their brand new field of 48. It's their first event in 5 weeks, and they'll be playing 5 times in the next 8 weeks.
And 3 of them in the States, right?
Boston this weekend, 2 weeks later in Chicago.
And then the season finishing event at Doral.
Yeah. In early October, they play back-to-back events, one in Asia, one in the Middle East. So, and at 9 minutes before the hour, gentlemen, that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So are you excited if the college football presidents there, the board of managers, if they go through and they say, you know what, we're doing this?
I am. It's inevitable that it's going to happen, and we don't like to wait. I would just as soon if they do this to start it in 2024. There's no sense coming up with a playoff and say, hey, we've got this great 12-team playoff, but we'll get to it in about a decade.
You mean kind of like the SEC announcing their deal with ESPN, only we got to wait 3 years for it?
Correct.
I think it'd be good for the sport, though. You know, we talk a lot about needing oxygen, and, you know, right now we've got the big 2, and the rest of the conferences are kind of like, hey, is there room for me? Can I get in here? You know, and I think it would be good for the sport as a whole if there was at least a chair in the room every year that we knew that, no, don't sit there. No, that's for the Pac-12. That's the Pac-12 chair. Just, nope, don't sit down there. No. That's the Big 12 chair. Don't you be sitting there. No. I think it'd be good for the sport.
And it's why I really believe, as I said earlier, I think conference champions have to get in. You have to have a reason to be excited about the season. I mean, last night was terrific.
Yeah.
But in the current system, you and I both know last night didn't mean a whole hell of a lot.
Nah, but it got the blood flowing.
Right. But in a 12-team playoff, it could turn out where some of these games mean something.
So you think they'll mean more?
I do.
You know, the whole every game counts
It
thing?
doesn't.
No, well, they tried that about 10, 12 years ago. We popped that balloon early.
And the crazy thing, we saw the stat yesterday, that if you lose week 1, no one's ever made the playoff losing week 1.
Miller and Moulton. That'll change if we go to 12. Lee Sterling makes his picks in less than a half an hour here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Kind of relief, I guess. Well, we're renting a studio, so I mean, based on what's behind us, looks like one guy's a New England sports fan and the other guy's a Detroit, Michigan sports fan.
The other thing that's funny is that you left that like that yesterday.
Yeah.
They didn't refold it.
Yeah.
I know I sound like a broken record.
Left, but I wasn't going to tell you because I wanted to see if it was still like that when we walked out.
What?
But man, if we had our own studio, I would deck that thing out with bobbleheads, jerseys,
Felipe,
posters.
Felipe, it's the least of our concerns of what our studio looks like. There are so many things that this show needs to be a better show, the least of which is studio design.
I'm just saying I have a lot of sports knickknacks.
I gotcha. So do I. What I'm saying is, I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a horrible Red Wings banner. That pen is just horrible. If we had Toronto banners, Canada Relief, they'd be 15% smaller.
Hello. You have a play of the day?
Oh, we're doing that here. Yeah. Do you have the Penn State late score? Do you have?
I couldn't find the radio audio. I looked on Twitter. I Googled. Oh, but we're doing clutch vodka now.
Correct.
Oh.
You ready?
Okay. No, just do it towards 10. I'll have it by then.
You got anything else going on over there?
Just
I
this.
mean, we gave it to you at
just this right
5:30,
now.
bud.
No, I know, but I was looking.
I know, but
Yeah, and the game was on Westwood One Audio. The guy we had on the show yesterday, JP Shadrick, had the call.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this first Friday of September, the Friday heading into Labor Day weekend. We thank you for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our poll question, it's been out there. Heck, I think it was up before the show even started, technically. So the Noles and the Gators, they're each 3-point dogs this weekend. Which one you like best to win? Noles, Gators, both, neither. It's our choice. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter. I went with the Noles, believe it or not.
I did as well. I was between Florida State and neither.
And don't get me wrong, I think the Gators give Utah a game. I think Utah wins the fourth quarter, and I think they'll win, and I think they'll cover, and 7-10, that sort of deal. But I'm excited, and I'm not saying this to, pat a program on the head or anything like that, but, we talked about it in the first hour. I mean, attendance is down in college football. Do you know the Gators season opener sold out? And you may go, yeah, big deal. Well, you know how many sellouts they've had in the last 4+ football seasons? 3 total. That's it. And the thought is that if the Gators play well, win or lose, that then the Kentucky game will be sold out. So Napier's got a little momentum with the fans. We have no idea what the product's going to look like. We know he's got momentum in recruiting and what have you. But Mark, for whatever reason, instead of Gator fan does not seem disillusioned coming off of last season, and it didn't work with Dan Mullen, and we all thought it was going to work with Dan Mullen. And Gator fans regrouped here quickly. They're in. Well,
It's helping that Napier's doing an unbelievable job of recruiting.
he is.
But I mean, that's how you keep your fan base at bay right from the get-go. He inherited a bad team. They're not in a great spot. He's winning recruiting battles. So they already like what's going on because they've not been winning the recruiting battles before this. Mullen didn't recruit well enough at the end of the day. So that's the first part to get the fan base excited about you. Now, I think to your point, they have to play well. They can't get their doors blown off tomorrow.
No. But it also, I think the fan base is kind of letting the athletic director know, hey, you're not going to believe this, but if you schedule good teams, that actually really interests us.
We've talked about this a lot. The Florida schedule. You get Florida State one year, you get LSU the other, you get Tennessee in there every other year, and then there's not a whole lot of meat on the bone.
Which is why we think, Kirby's whole thing about if we can get this Georgia game on campus, if you look at the Florida schedule, then they can have it where they got 4 really big games every year. They got LSU, they got Florida State, they got Tennessee, and they got Georgia. And you can have it where 2 of them are home one year and 2 of them are home the next. That's how you put a season ticket package together. Never mind whatever else you're going to get on crossovers. Kentucky has a really good team one year. South Carolina has a really good team. Just, every year, well, we're going to have 2 really big games that we want. We may sell the rest of our tickets, but we're going to these 2. That's how you sell season ticket packages, right, Mark?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is amazing. All of a sudden you bring a top 10 program in and people want to go to the game. I am just befuddled how this works out, David.
I am curious about the heat for Utah, though.
Well, if the game were noon or 3:30, I would have a lot more concerns. The fact that the game's at 7 o'clock at night, I do not have the concerns that I would have if the game was being played in the sun. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I think it's a valid point. But I think you better get Brian Kelly in the first 2 months of this year. I think even by the time Texas A&M faces them in late November, it might be, LSU's gotten their act together by then. Like right around the time the Gators are playing them, mid-October. That might be like the last time that you can take advantage of Brian Kelly and LSU.
The fact that they're picked near the bottom of the SEC West is just laughable. And I know there's a reason for it, but this is LSU. There's talent there. And this guy can coach.
You may get him the first year. Even Nick went 7-6 his first year at Alabama. I mean, sometimes you inherit a grease fire. It's greasy that first year. It's messy. It's like, oh, man.
Difference is when Nick did it, there wasn't this thing called the transfer portal.
That is true.
You can make some quick improvements as a first-year coach now that were not available to first-year coaches just a few years ago.
He did go 12-0 in the regular season his second year, by the way, at Alabama. Just
pointing that out.
Won the national championship his third. I mean, he just turned it around real quickly. But I think you and I are trying to make the point that, let's face it, Brian Kelly's not likable. Even though he's been nice to us over the years, come on the show a half dozen times, he's been terrific every time. All right, he doesn't come across always as the most likable guy.
He was actually almost intimidating to interview because there's a little snark to his voice or a little arrogance to his voice.
But he does answer every question.
Every question.
Yeah, doesn't dodge it, will answer it.
But there's a bravado to his answers that makes sure, like, I remember interviewing him going, don't screw this up because he might come right at you.
But he did put Notre Dame in the playoff 3 times. 3 times. 2012, they played for the national championship, and then the 2 times there where they made the semis. And his last year at Cincinnati, they went 12-0 before he took the Notre Dame gig in 2009. So, I mean, he really can coach.
Right. And he won before that at the 1AA or whatever, wherever he was, Division II
Grand
before
Valley
that.
State,
yeah, Division II.
I mean,
all the guy's ever done is won.
Right. And now he's at a school where he can get the best players he's ever been able to get.
And it's not, listen to what David just said. He took Notre Dame to the playoff 3 times.
Right. In the last 10 years, they've made the playoffs 3 times.
It's not that easy to get kids into Notre Dame. It really isn't.
No, it's not.
Despite the fact how much all of you hate Notre Dame. And I'm right there with you.
Matter of fact, you might be like DiCaprio there at the end of the boat, leaning forward. Yeah.
There's a pretty good chance. Right up until the point that my daughter's accepted there. Then it will all change, David.
You know what? I need to live long enough to see that. That's what I need. Are you, why are you taking care of yourself? Why are you getting in better shape? Is it because you have a granddaughter? Well, no, it's because, Mark's daughter might be going to Notre Dame and he absolutely hates the place. So I just want to see him write that one check. I want to stand over his shoulder when he just write that one check.
I am 13 seconds from the fetal position in the corner right now.
And I'll be wearing Notre Dame garb
while I'm writing it.
Yes, I will. I may be playing the fight song while you do it. That would be Man, would that be rich. Honestly, I would turn up, I'd look at the sky and I'd go, it was all worth it. Everything I've been through was all worth it for this. Oh, that would be fantastic.
But Brian Kelly can coach.
Yes, he can. So you better get him in LSU this year. That's what we're saying. And so that's why I think, I did see an interesting stat. The whole we buy into the, they have already played a game, Mark, and what do they say is the most improvement is between week 1 and 2. So, I like the team that's already played a game versus the team that hasn't played one yet this year.
You have a stat to dispute that?
Apparently teams in like the last 10 years who have played a game versus teams who have not played a game, the teams that have already played a game are 43% against the spread.
Really?
Now, obviously, teams could be playing much better teams and what have you. I mean, but against the spread, teams that are playing game 2 versus teams that are playing game 1 are only 43% against the spread.
Boy, I went to the well early. I had a lot of investigation done with my picks this week, talking to different people. And one of my guys that I really rely on was all over the Illinois.
Because they played?
Not necessarily because they played. He liked Illinois, but that's the only game I have on my list that's someone that's played. So that scares me a little bit. I don't like hearing those stats.
Sorry about that. We're all pulling out our best stat of the year. Got to do it now, or the stat doesn't mean anything.
You know what that stat is, David? That's clutch with a K.
Nice. Well done.
Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. It comes to us from last night's Penn State-Purdue game. Gus, do it.
Clifford sprints out, lofts it up, touchdown Penn State! Unbelievable! Kirwan Lee, magical! With 57 seconds to go.
Unbelievable.
Voice cracking.
Magical. Gus Johnson, Fox Sports.
There you go. He's an original. All right.
I enjoy the listen to he and Klatt.
Yes. Although I will say Joel Klatt had a hysterical moment last night. Listen, we all do it. If you work into a microphone, you say ridiculous things. So Penn State running back gets the ball, runs for 9 yards, and Joel Klatt says, "Man, I really like what this kid is doing tonight." He pauses and then he realizes, now, I mean, that was his first carry of the game. That's one of those. We're all excited. We all got, I really like what this kid is doing tonight. And then he realizes, oh man, that's the first
Stats
time
guys in his ears. 1 for 9.
Exactly.
1 for 9.
Joel, we're 6 minutes into this thing. I think it's the first carry of his life. Come on now. But so it was funny. We're all fired up. Announcers included. So, but I do like the fact though that they're their own sound. They're their own broadcast. I mean, Fox has established their own thing, and it's working, and it's only going to get bigger.
Love the fact that I am just fascinated by the whole television product this year as we go into the new television world.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to treat everything this year?
Well, Fox is telling you they're going to cover the SEC, and ESPN's telling you they're going to cover the Big Ten.
We'll see.
Exactly. Miller and Moulton. Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. He will make his picks, and he's got a game of the week every week. Lee and his picks are next. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Come on, Lee. All right, I'm going to have to just go blank. I got to make new graphic. God, I got to make a graphic for Lee and for Chris.
Georgia, Oregon, do you have it at 17 or 17 and a half?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going 3 for LSU, Florida, and
Yep.
3 for Utah, Florida.
Yes.
Okay. And I got 17 for Ohio State, Notre Dame.
Yep.
And do you have 17 or 17 and a half for Georgia, Oregon?
17.
17. Okay. And 11 and a half NC State.
Let me double check that one at noon, what that's at now. I've got it at 11 right now.
Okay. I had it at 11 and a half. This game of the week's Clemson, Georgia Tech.
Yep.
21 and a half.
21 and a half.
Okay. I let Lee know that the segment's 10 minutes. It's a hard out. And he was like, hey, thanks. You know, this way I'll know timing wise. And I'm like, yeah, we're done. I go, so, you know, we'd prefer to be done 30-ish so that we can wrap and toss, you know. So I basically said I would plan on 9, you know, it's 9 minutes. But all his info is the same.
Do you refer to someone as a red shirt sophomore or a red shirted sophomore?
Red shirt.
Red shirt sophomore, yeah.
It's Jimmy Connor's birthday today, by the way.
Lee's joining through the computer.
Yes.
Is he here?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. The big 7-0.
Yeah.
Through the computador.
Come on, Lee.
What a catch.
Lucky to get that one back.
Woo!
$30 seconds.
Come on, Lee.
Come on, Lee.
You texting him?
Mm-hmm.
I sent the invitation in.
Oh, he says no. He says I'm here. Do you see me?
No.
No.
5 seconds.
Here, you do it with him.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, floridasportsnetwork.com. Gators and Knowles, both 3-point dogs. Which one do you give the better chance of winning? Florida at home, Florida State on the road, both, neither. Vote accordingly. Hoping to catch up with Lee Sterling for his first picks of the year. We hook up by computer. You know the old adage, to err is human, but to really mess things up, you need a computer. So hoping to catch up with Lee here coming up shortly. We'll make our picks next segment. That's how it's going to roll every Friday. We'll go Lee, give you the expert. Then we'll give you the amateurs. And then Pat Kirwan talking all things NFL. Then Chris Landry talking all the big college games. That'll get us to the top of the 9 o'clock hour.
All right. We don't have Lee by face, but I think we have Lee by audio. Lee, are you with us? No, he's not. Wonderful. So somehow his computer's not hooking up with ours.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I got a phone number right there. All right. Maybe we can call him and get him on that way. I know the games that he likes. He's going to dip into the state of North Carolina. He's going to make a pick on NC State, East Carolina. And then he's going the big games. Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Oregon, LSU, Florida State, and Utah, Florida. We like that about Lee. He doesn't dodge the big games. And he doesn't just make the picks on the games that he wants. A lot of times he will make the picks on the games that we want him to make picks on.
I always get nervous when I look at Lee's games and I have 3 of the same games Lee does.
Why does that make you nervous?
Well, I don't know if we're going head to head or not. He is the expert after all. Many times it will find this out that he'll be going head to head with us, and that I don't like that. That's all.
Can let you know right now that his game of the week is Clemson, Georgia Tech. So.
And you are right. He's going after all of the big games.
And Lee Sterling's kind enough to join us right now. Paramount Sports, ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741. Lee, it's been too long. Hope you and the family are well. How are you?
Great. There's always one station every single week. I did 7 interviews over Zoom and StreamYard, and everything went perfect. So who knows what's going on?
Well, yep. Good. Hey, let's get ours out of the way week 1, baby.
Exactly.
So that we can have a dozen perfect weeks afterwards.
Let's get right to the game since we had a little hiccup this morning. I'm fascinated by this game just because my son's a proud ECU alum. It is a huge game in Greenville, North Carolina. They have literally been talking about this weekend since about May, Lee. NC State's a good football team. 11.5's the number. Do the Wolfpack go in there and take down the Pirates big?
Well, North Carolina State returns 18 starters from last year. A lot of expectations this year. And here's the only thing. I like them when they're the hunter, not being hunted. And ECU, underrated. I mean, last year in conference play, they outgained their opponents on average by 108 yards, which is number 3 in the conference, and no one talks about them. I like their quarterback, Colton Ahlers. Reminds me of like Tim Tebow. I call him Tim Tebow light. If you watch him on Saturday, I think NC State wins the game here, but they've had trouble up in Greenville. They've lost 3 of the last 4 straight up. They win 31-23, but the Pirates cover.
All right. The 2 17-point spreads.
Yep.
Ohio State against Notre Dame. Thoughts?
Marcus Freeman's doing a great job recruiting. I think he's the right guy for this job. Problem is, his talent on hand, I don't think they match up, especially defensively, stopping this Ohio State team. So I think Ohio State might have the best offense in the country. And, I mean, C.J. Stroud, maybe top 1 or top 2 quarterback, maybe the best receiver in the country, 2 top 15 running backs. Add in new defensive coordinator Jim Knowles over from Oklahoma State for Ohio State. He faced Notre Dame in the bowl. I think that helps some too. I like Ohio State. I think they would shed Notre Dame 48-20.
The Dogs in Oregon. Oregon's D coordinator, or the former D coordinator at Georgia, now the head coach at Oregon. I talked to some of my guys out in Portland.
Returns after 3 years. I just think that his familiarity here can't be ignored. He knows the schemes and the personnel. That might be worth 4, 5, 6 points. Also, Georgia's losses on defense were significant. 8 out of 11 starters. Maybe only Alabama could reload at that type. I mean, this is a defense that was maybe the best in the last 10 to 15 years. Stetson Bennett's pretty good. Good supporting cast. Great tight end on this team. They have some three tight ends that would probably start for anyone. But people are ignoring Oregon. 8 starters returned from last year's offense. All 5 offensive linemen. That'll help Bo Nix. They went into Ohio State and won last year and put up 35 points. Then add in number 23, Chase Cota from UCLA, a nice 6'3" target here. I say grab all the points you can. Georgia wins 31-21, but the Ducks cover. Quack, quack.
All right. The 2 big in-state games, both the Noles and the Gators are 3-point dogs. We'll start with the Noles Sunday. They're taking on LSU in Nolens.
So I asked one of my Florida State friends who's going up to the game, I said, what would make you want to go to the game? And he says, listen, I've been sitting in the stands for the last 5 years. I just want to see a stadium that's completely full. So thought that was interesting. I mean, Florida State games have been 50, 60% full the last few years here. They're okay. They got a game under their belt, but Arizona State transfer Jaden Daniels, 29 starts. I think he'll do a decent job. If not, they'll have a short leash with redshirt freshman Garrett Nussmeier breathing down his back here. And I just think that LSU will make 1 or 2 more big plays with their athletes here. And Florida State, just 6-12 against the spread as a road underdog. LSU wins at home on Sunday night, 28-20.
Utah and Florida, it's a 3-point spread. Utah having to come play in the heat, the humidity. I think it's a break that it's at 7 p.m., not at noon or 3:30. I like Utah. Who do you like in this one, Lee?
Everyone loves Florida, and I'm with you. Here's a couple reasons why I like them. Cam Rising didn't even start the year and play the first couple games, had 20 touchdown passes, and ran for 499 yards. He can make things happen with his feet. You talk about an underrated player, running back Tavion Thomas. This guy gained over 1,100 yards. He didn't start the year as the feature back, and he had 21 touchdowns. I love Anthony Richardson for Florida. And they have a couple DBs that are good, but there's not a lot of talent right now in this Florida roster. Billy Napier has it coming in next year. It's going to take a year or 2 here, and practicing at elevation, I think, will really help Utah. And I was out in Park City, which is real close. It was in Salt Lake City in the 90s until this past week here. Unless Anthony Richardson throws for 300 yards and maybe runs for 100, I don't see it happening. The Utes here over Florida, 31-23.
All right, your game of the week. It's a conference game. It's Clemson. It's Georgia Tech. Tigers having to lay 21.5. How do they get it?
Yeah, we're going to find out if the shine's off Clemson real soon, right away here. You want to get this game? Got a real strong opinion. Is Georgia Tech improved? They're at home here. Just call 800-400-9741. We are off to a 17-4 start, including a 3-0 last night since the first preseason game. So we are on a roll. I'd love to have you with us. How about this? A 4-week trial pack. Every game I've got through September 30th, just $397. ParamountSports.com or call 800-400-9741.
Lee Sterling will join it this time every week. His 5 picks again. He's taken the points with East Carolina at home, and he's taken the points with Oregon. He's laying the points with Ohio State, with LSU, and with Utah. And his game of the week is Clemson, Georgia Tech. ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741. Thanks, Lee.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Lee Sterling. Been doing it with us for as long as we've been doing it. In fact, he's been doing it with the both of us when we were both doing solo shows. Picked Texas over USC to win the national title game outright in 2005. We've been on them ever since. Lee Sterling, his picks. Our picks are next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
7:30 somewhere. So I actually think, I think he's got a heart out too.
Holy shit. Larry, my buddy, just sent me his ticket. That was his bet. You see what that number is?
Holy crap. So you're saying that was a big final drive?
$10 large.
Damn. Oh, let's get this party.
Why can't you sponsor the show again?
Who's that?
My buddy Larry Smith. He owns Budget Floors. You pass it on the old Wayne Wiles on your left.
Right. Yeah.
I told him, I says, do it. You have big parties. You sponsor our picks. And his nickname's Big Party. And every week, you give me one pick. I'll put out Big Party's pick of the week. Brought to you by Budget Floors. I want him to be the Mattress Mac.
That pick six that Purdue had, they're calling it the puke six. Because apparently after he returned it for a touchdown, he puked on the sideline.
Gotcha.
What do you say?
The pick six in the Purdue game was a puke six because
Yep.
Nice.
Live too.
Yep.
He just went to the cutaway and he lost it. Now, do we have anything with this?
No,
Do we have,
I
okay.
didn't get it done. That's on me. I'll have
That's
it for
all right.
next week.
I still don't understand why Dwayne Wade decided to but partially buy the Jazz.
We didn't partially buy the Jazz.
Isn't he a
Well, partially buy the Jazz would mean he's, at least a minority. He's such a minority owner. He has such a small piece that it's not.
Yeah, true. It is a very small stake. But
I think it's twofold. First off, if you can get in the club, you get in the club. I think this guy's taking him under his wing and the other thing is that these franchises are only going up in value. So he can eventually sell what is it? Is it 4%? I mean, what is it that he has? And he'll make money on the deal.
Hell yes.
So, because they're not going down in value. So he's going.
Oh, it's 1%.
That's what I figured.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's nothing.
So, because if you think about it, I mean, these franchises, even the Jazz, are like what, a 1.4 billion, something like that. So, I mean, that's 1%. You still got to write a check for 14 million just to get 1%.
Jazz are valued at 1.6.
Well, thank you, MRC Gamble. We appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Spread the word.
You want to sponsor the show?
Retail marketing.
Nadal was playing like a savage last night.
Well, not the start.
You're right, but he recovered.
I mean, he was down a set and a break.
At that point, right? That is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, he's
stupid.
He's amazing. I'm not a fan, but he's amazing.
Yeah, I'm a Federer guy. But damn, do I respect this man. And his bald spots.
I love how he had a nose injury.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We literally just flipped to see who's going to go first this segment.
You know I always go heads, David.
I know.
You're a tails guy too, aren't you?
I am a tails guy, yes. Even though I don't think there should be coin tosses except in the Super Bowl. And that's only because
it's bet on. And it's a neutral site game.
Right. Hundreds of millions are bet on it. That's the reason why I'm in favor of it. And yes, it is a neutral site game. But if you're hearing it for the first time, yes, I believe that the coin toss should be eliminated. I think that it should be part of home field advantage. I think the home team should be the one determining whether they're getting the ball or whether they're kicking, whether they're defending this goal or that goal. There's very little to home field advantage anymore. So I really think, and especially in a playoff game, I mean, you've earned home field advantage. So why is it that you don't get to determine how overtime is going to start? To me, you've earned this. And I've never, and I mean this, never understood why the visiting team is the one that gets to call the coin toss. If you're going to keep the coin toss, shouldn't at least the home team get to be the one calling it?
Well, you got to be nice to your guests, David.
Screw that. We're keeping score, man. We don't keep score at the family dinner.
Depends on the family.
Well, it depends on the topic. Right? But I'll tell you what, when there's a scoreboard at your family dinner, and I mean, I want to see the lights. I want to see it says 5:15. All right. Then, okay, you can do it however you want. But that's just my little pet peeve.
You ready to do this?
I am ready to do it.
We're going to let you won the coin toss. There's going to be sound and bells and whistles by next week. There's
Right.
a lack of production on this show.
Yeah. Well, there's a lack of a lot of things on this show.
We hope the content's good enough.
And the key phrase there is good enough. Yes. Now, see, it would be nice if one of the two hosts on this show, and by one of the two hosts, I mean me, would actually remember how it is we do this. See, we've been doing this for 15 plus years, and we've done it with 3 picks, 5 picks, 7 picks.
It's only been 7 and 5. We used to be on a station that was 770 AM. And because of that, before even David and I teamed up together, David did a Super 7. So I joined in with him with a Super 7.
Right.
Then we got fired. Or I got fired, and then David
I got fired. Right.
Then we landed somewhere else.
Right.
And I said, 7's a lot. How about we do a fantastic 5?
And it's okay.
We like alliteration on this show.
Right. And at the time, we were working for a Fox station. So once again, it's with the alliteration. Bada bing, bada boom.
I like 5. It's
and so
it keeps a nice season-long thing. It's easy. If you
Right.
want to do, it's the first week, David, knock yourself out. Do whatever you want to do.
And so for the record, me forgetting once again what it is we're doing. I've only been part of the show for, 15 years. So I'm doing a Super 7 this week. I do have a couple questions. Virginia Tech's at Old Dominion, and I understand it's an in-state thing. And once again, we've been raving about how great it is that NC State and North Carolina are playing East Carolina and App State. So I tip my hat to the Hokies, and they're going on the road. They're playing at Old Dominion. Good for them. The line's 6, though. I got to think Virginia Tech can cover this. I mean, good game, that whole deal, but I think they're winning by 7-10 at least, right? I mean, right?
If you say so.
So give me Vatech and lay the 6 at Old Dominion. Hey, if I'm going to pound the table all week that I like Utah at Florida, shouldn't I bet it? If I've been pounding the table saying, you know what? I think Florida State's going to upset LSU. Florida State's got a quarterback. I haven't had one in a few years. All right. Give me the Noles and the 3. I'd love it at 3.5. Got to be honest, but the hook's not available. Bud Elliott, this one's on you. And speaking of which, Bud Elliott went 4-1 against the spread yesterday. He's off to an 11-3 start. Just for those of you that Bud Elliott is a regular on this show every Wednesdays. All right, Bud Elliott, Lee Sterling's off to a great start. Bud Elliott off to a great start. So far, the 2 people we bring on this show to kind of do this, they're serving you well. But Bud Elliott said, hey, you want to know a team that's underrated? UCLA. Okay, Bud, going to hold you to it. UCLA laying 23.5 against Bowling Green.
Who?
Houston. Some people think they're going to be the best group of 5 team, right?
They're one of the teams picked to win the AAC. There's, you got Cincinnati, you got Houston, you got UCF, all
Right.
equally good.
But if Houston's that good, you mean to tell me they can't cover 4 at UTSA? Once again, by the way, credit to Houston for playing this game. They could make UTSA come to them. Good for them that they're actually going on the road and playing it, but I got to think that Houston can cover the 4. My one upset, if you will, and I know Florida State's an upset, but Boise State on the road. Yes, that's right, taking on a Power 5 school on the road. Give me Boise State at Oregon State.
What?
And I get Boise State and 2.5. And I'm betting against the MAC this week. Taking FAU on the road. Come on, Owls. FAU at Ohio. Give me FAU lay the 4.5. So
Wow.
that's my Super 7.
That's your Super 7, huh?
I'm taking 2 dogs, Florida State and Boise State, both on the road, both to win outright. Otherwise, I got 5 favorites. That's a lot for me.
I've only said I was taking them for 2.5 weeks. So Utah 3-point favorite over Florida. I'm taking the Utes. I am with Lee in that I think Ohio State, I've listened to you, I've listened to Bud, I've listened to everybody tell me how overrated Notre Dame is and how Ohio State's going to score 40 every game. Well, I'm going to listen. I'm going to take the Buckeyes and lay the big number against Notre Dame. I'm going to go head-to-head with Lee. I talked to my buddy Jumbo out in Portland, and Jumbo likes to gamble. And I said, what are you thinking this week? What do you talk to me about the Ducks? And he doesn't think the Ducks can score against Georgia. It's similar to what we heard earlier this week, is that Bud Elliott said the same thing. He worries about the skill positions for Oregon, that they're just not fast enough.
Right. How ironic would that be, that Oregon lacks the game breakers and the speed?
And on their back end, their defensive backs he talked about. So between what Bud said and what Jumbo out in Portland said, I'm going to take the dogs and lay the 17. You know App State's a slight favorite against UNC?
Wow.
I mean, it started as a point and a half. It's now down to a half a point. It might as well be a pick 'em. So I've got a half a point, which does nothing at all. But I'm going to take App State with the outright win over UNC at home in Boone this weekend. And I'm also going to take Illinois to go 2-0. The Fighting Bielemas will beat Indiana. Give me the Illini minus a 1.5. That's 5.
Look at that. Not one underdog on your sheet. You are starting out blazing. I've never met anyone who likes a favorite more than you. NCAA tournament, the brackets, picking college football games. Man, you don't like the plus sign. Did you like subtraction in math more than addition?
No, I didn't. And I tried to find it. But week 1, I tend to look at games that I think the odds are off. And I think, I think they're telling you something. When you've got 2 big games and you've got a 2 touchdown plus favorite and all this, Vegas is telling you something.
Well, it's what scares me about the Utah-Florida game, because to me, the line makes no sense. The line should be closer to 6. And to me, is this Vegas's way of saying to you and I and everybody else, Gators are going to win.
Hold up.
Gators are going to win because the line, I mean, come on. Utah's a consensus top 10. Florida lost to UCF in a bowl game last year. And it wasn't, an undefeated UCF team.
No, it was the Gasparilla Bowl, for crying out loud.
It's only the 3rd best UCF team in the last 5 years. And they lost by 2 scores. I mean, how much could they improve in one offseason? They got half the roster that Utah has. And yet the line's 3. The line scares me. My head is saying, come on, Utah's going to win. They're going to cover. And there's this little voice in the back of my head going,
why is it only 3?
Yeah.
Why isn't it 5.5?
I mean, Vegas has been only telling you for 3 damn months, dude. Line is small. In fact, it was smaller than this. Yahoos like you have bet it up to 3.
I'm working on a sponsor for this segment. Hard.
Really?
I've been all over him during the segment, texting him, because he's texting me his winning bets. And I'm like, if you're winning this much, trying to make this guy the Mattress Macus of Florida.
I love it. I love it. Does he sell mattresses?
No, but he does sell. He sells flooring equipment.
He sells stuff.
He sells stuff.
Well, then
he sells stuff to the people.
Well, then he could be our mattress man.
Right.
It'd be great. So to review, I went with 7 picks because, well, the segment calls for 5. 5 favorites, 2 dogs. The dogs are Boise State and Florida State. I'm taking Vatech, Utah, UCLA, Houston, and FAU as favorites. Mark's got 5 favorites. Utah, Ohio State, Georgia, App State, Illinois. We do love the Fighting Bielemas, don't we?
Yeah, and my boy Big Party's all over Illinois, so I followed Big Party. He's been on a roll lately.
Big Party.
Yeah, I got Jumbo and Big Party that I talk to every week.
Did you turn into an episode of The Sopranos? I mean, wait. You've got Jumbo and Big Party.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a golf foursome or this is part of the mob here. What?
Look,
hey,
if we're not able to bet legally in Florida, so if I don't know guys like Jumbo and Big Party, I don't know if I'm doing this right, David.
Hey, I'm playing Jumbo today. I got to give him 2 aside.
I'd probably need 2 aside from Jumbo if we're playing. I know I'd need probably 3 aside, maybe even 4 aside from Big Party.
Oh, I love this. So there you go. Those are our picks. And obviously, a week from now, we'll have NFL games that we can throw in the mix as well. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan to join us coming up top of the hour. Speaking of the NFL, we will talk all things NFL. Chris Landry in about 45 minutes. And Chris Landry is a scout. He's worked in pros. He's worked in college. He's worked for guys named Belichick and Saban. So obviously he doesn't know a damn thing about football. And we're thrilled to have him on the show again this year for the full year, every Friday at around 8:35. And we're going to keep him to college. Since Pat does the NFL, we're going to keep Chris to college. And we just think he's a very valuable resource. He's a nooks and crannies guy. I mean, he watches a lot of film. You can buy his stuff if you want on his site. He can give you the Cliff Notes version, or he can go neck deep into a game. And so we're going to go and get into these big games with these 17-point spreads and have Chris, who has done the video work, and it's out there if you're interested. And we're going to have him give you his analysis.
It is the Great 8 every Friday between Pat Kirwan and Chris Landry. We are going to give you some serious football talk every week on the show as far as getting really, and as you said, David, getting really in depth in these games on both Saturdays and Sundays with Landry and Pat Kirwan coming up on the show.
A quick question in our Twitch chat room, questioning Purdue's play calling at the end of the game last night. I didn't. They're a passing team. If they were going to get the 1 or 2 extra first downs needed, probably only one would have done it. But if they were going to get those first downs, they were going to get it throwing the ball.
They can't run the football.
Right.
It's not what they do.
So to me, there's no sense playing safe and burning the timeouts, particularly in college football when you can stop the clock with a first down. So to me, I think it's more valuable to burn teams' timeouts in the NFL than it is in college.
I definitely think there's some value in burning the timeouts. You do take a couple of plays away, but the fact of the matter is that you've got to get there how you get there. And Purdue does it by throwing the football. And it is the one thing is, the announcers talked about last night. Where has Purdue struggled? They struggle in the red zone. They struggle closing games out. Teams that pass the football. So one thing about that style, it's tough in a close game to get that horse into the barn.
Well, and who are the 2 teams that play similarly? It's Purdue and it's Nebraska. And Nebraska's record in 1-score games has been abysmal. Abysmal. And Purdue lost a 1-score game last night. Good game, though. Ebbs and flows. I mean, I don't know. You could ask for much more than the 2 marquee games gave you last night.
I mean, we're 3 for 3, too. You throw Nebraska, Northwestern in there last week in week 0. I mean, the games they've been putting on national television have delivered already. Wow.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan, as we dive into the NFL, last chance before games are played. Pat will join us next here on the Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. fun, smooth, like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
He goes, oh my, I'm like, Holly Walnuts was, that was my favorite funny character in it.
So one more time,
They
David,
were
you
just in
have
Italy. I'm like, oh, I go, you got me wanting to watch a show again.
you have Virginia Tech, Seminoles, Houston, Boise State, FAU, Utah, and one more.
What?
Okay. Virginia Tech -6.
Okay.
I've got them all right here.
Boise State +2.5. Utah -3. Florida State +3. Houston -4.
You need to put the opponents in there in 2.5, not 2.5.
No, I know. I wrote it down.
FAU -4.5. And UCLA -23.5.
UCLA -23.5.
Mm-hmm.
They're right there.
Philly's mic is really loud on the Twitch feed.
Oh,
Okay.
my bad.
That's interesting.
Is it better now?
We'll find out. And did you go, dude?
He went, dude.
Dude. It's all good, dude.
Dude.
Oh,
Dude got it in the face.
ooh, that hurt.
What the hell?
Oh my God. It's just the worst sport in the world.
I know. They should give guys yellow cards and red cards for their flopping.
Yep. They do more of it. Not enough.
Oh, you just pegged him. In wiffle ball, that's an out. Oh, no, he missed.
Such a bad play. I wouldn't have it as the third worst play of the week, but Oh, awesome, Yinzer. Glad you went. So, yesterday out of nowhere, I don't know how it came out, David. My daughter says, she was, well, we were playing, I don't know how, and out of nowhere, she was, well, at summer camp, we were playing baseball and I hit a boy in the nuts. Eve. I mean, I said, what? I said, just out of curiosity. Hit him in the nuts. Where is it? She goes, well, here. On purpose? She goes, no, we were playing baseball and I hit the ball and that's where it hit him. Oh my God.
Yinzer, I'm glad you went. I'll bet it was cool. Did it feel like a Steelers game?
Was it 60-40 Pitt, West Virginia from a fan standpoint? That's what it kind of sounded like. What did it feel like?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it's the 8 o'clock hour on a football Friday. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Our poll question, both the Gators and Noles are 3-point dogs. Which one you think has the best chance to win outright? Florida at home against Utah, Florida State on the road against LSU. Not a true road game, but it's in New Orleans. That's close enough. Both or neither? Those are your four choices. It's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter or floridasportsnetwork.com and vote. Pat Kirwan, kind enough to join us once again. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Hey, Pat.
Good morning, David. How are you?
Well, I am well, and I tried to text you this, but I didn't give you a lot of warning. You started your Wednesday show with Jim Miller by quoting a bunch of stats as to what draft choices made it and also the number of undrafted players that made it. I don't know if you have it handy or you just know it off the top of your head, but I found the numbers to be fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I always like to frame up what the season, at least the foundation of it is. So that I do it every year. And so things are a little fluid because we have some people being released still. But what was amazing to me was we had 53 undrafted college free agents make the roster at the 53 cut. Now, usually that number's like 36, 37. It's kind of like a round. One round of the draft is the college free agents, but it's 53 of them. A lot of linebackers, 12 linebackers out of the 53. And then we've got a bunch of safeties, 8 safeties. So what does that tell me? It tells me that those guys are making it because of special teams, and it's really a high number. Then I broke down the draft, and this is like who's active. So a draft pick that's on IR didn't make the list. First round, 30 of 32. Second round, 27 of 32. Third round, 39 of 41. Fourth round, 37 of 38. Fifth round, 31 of 36. Sixth round, and this is where it gets interesting. Sixth round and seventh round both had 26 make it. Well, 26 and 26 is 52, and the college free agents beat them by 1. They beat the 6th and 7th round combined.
Pat, when you talked about this, the linebackers and safeties, particularly in those undrafted free agents that are making teams, special teams players mostly, how many roster spots are done that way now compared to 4 or 5 years ago with the less emphasis on special teams in a game? There are just less returns. There are less special teams plays. Is there maybe one less guy that's making a team in a special team position than 5 years ago, or are the numbers averaging out to be the same?
They average out. The only thing that's really is tightened down is kick returns, but you still have to cover the kick. So the coverage unit is still important. The most important unit is the punt unit, and you can tell pretty early who's going to make a team by who's on the first punt team in camp. That's where the special teams coach is really most nervous all the time, and he's going to spend most of his practice time on that stuff. Obviously, the kicking the field goal, but getting the ball away is not as hard as punt coverage, get the snap, kick the ball, cover the punt. So there's still going to be, if you look at the number of run plays, Mark, in a game, not just a running back, but the run plays, and I'm not talking about scrambling quarterbacks, usually the special teams is a few plays more than that. So if you look at it from that perspective, special teams has about as many snaps or more than the run game. I know every coach that ever talks said we got to establish the run. How about we got to establish the special teams? The first day Bill Parcells came to the Jets, we sat in a room. Most of his coaching staff was there. They came before him, actually. And all he wanted to talk about was, we may not be very good, but we're going to do two things good right away. We're going to be good on special teams, and we're not going to make a lot of penalties. And we went from the most penalized team to the least penalized team, basically with the same players. And our special teams got good, basically with the same players. So that's when you know a guy like Parcells sees life that way first. I think you can see why 53 kids made it. And by the way, they're cheap. They're as cheap of talent as you can get on the roster. A college free agent, half of them didn't even get a signing bonus. And if they did, it was some mediocre $10,000 or something. So you need them to offset the big prices at the other end of your roster.
By the way, the improvement that the Jets made from the year before Parcells to the year after, that was 1-15 to 9-7. All right, just tightening things up and, controlling the little things like that. Pat, to go back to the numbers, could I then convince you, you know me, Trader David, but could I convince you and say, listen, I'm going to use these 6th and 7th round picks and either use them to move up a few spots or to move them to grab guys like the Eagles were very aggressive in trading away and acquiring guys and using late round picks. I mean, Pat, I'm inclined to trade 6th and 7th round picks based off of these numbers, because I could turn to you and say, well, Pat, I can replace these guys with an undrafted free agent.
I believe that, and that's why I do these things, to keep a perspective on, well, if I was still in this, what would my strategy be? And I say sometimes some of the guys who run these things don't even do this stuff. But so where's the sweet spot? To your point, David, the 3rd round, 39 of 41 made it. The 4th round, 37 to 38. So yeah, take your 5, 6, and 7. And go get into the 3rd and 4th round, and then count on the college free agent group to deliver for you what you're looking for from special teams guys, etc. So there's a couple teams that had like 5 college free agents make the roster.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, Pat, because is that a scouting issue? Is that a bad team issue? When you look at the undrafted free agents and who's making it, what do you attribute the success of those teams to? Is it their lack of success on the field, or is it just great scouting?
Well, it's a great question, and it's what every college scouting department should do after the draft. And now so the first thing is every college free agent that's signed right after the draft, you should go back and look at, especially the ones you didn't sign, and say, okay, what did they see in this guy? You might have had a redirect grade on guys, or even worse, you might not have even scouted the guy. So that's the first thing. Now you wait for this cut down, and when they get to the cut down, now you say, okay, there's 53 guys here. Let's go look at our report. Let's go look at what's the common theme. Did we miss on some guys here, or did we just run out of, if you ran out of picks yourself because you didn't have a lot of picks, you could justify why you didn't draft them. So you really have to do an analysis of these guys, because sometimes it's a region of the country, because you got to cross-reference this 100 ways. Is it a position group that we are blind to? Or is it an area of the country that we're weak in scouting? Is it a small college bias? You know, there's a lot of things, but you got to cross-check yourself. Otherwise, you never get better.
Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today Show. He joins us once again courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Your thoughts on the Russell Wilson deal? Contractually now, 7 years with the Broncos. The next two cheap, 24 and 27 million. Then he's making 49 per year. 3 of the 5 years basically guaranteed. Your thoughts?
I think the NFL in general, a sigh of relief that we are broke, at least temporarily broke the Deshaun Watson fully guaranteed deal. And so his guaranteed money in that 67%. After the Watson deal, do you think if I told every owner, hey, don't worry, we're going to bring it back down to 65%, they'd be very happy. So in that sense, there's still guys out there like Lamar, and there's going to be guys like Herbert, and we'll see where it goes. But for the time being, because Russell's credentials are impeccable compared to the guys that are on the launch pad for new contracts. You can't say that Lamar is as good as Russell Wilson. You can say it if you want to just have an argument, but he didn't go to back-to-back Super Bowl. So I think everyone in the league is a little bit happier that we've got that issue under control for the time being.
But Lamar can say he's better than Kyler Murray. There's no doubt there, Pat. And here at the end of the day, is this get done by the time we have a game? Is this going to get done?
Most people believe it will not be done, and most people will believe he'll ignore his own deadline and play. So I think it's just going to go on for a while. He really is out of his league doing this by himself. And he thinks he's got it under control because apparently he's trying to hold his ground that he wants a fully guaranteed deal. But now we're getting into a different place. I wish he would go get a top-flight quarterback agent, but he hasn't done it, and nor do I think he's going to.
Pat, my final question. Are the Eagles front office as good as it appears? I mean, between their offseason and now they basically acquired Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and got more back in return than by unloading Jalen Reagor. I mean, it seems as if the Eagles have just had a phenomenal season and the games haven't even started yet.
Well, there's a reason I couldn't answer your question because the games haven't started yet. But I hear your question loud and clear. They've done a lot of good things. Howie and his staff have done a lot of good things, but it doesn't matter because if they don't win the division and lose to Dallas and Jalen Hurts is just a guy, then the rest of it will go to the wayside because that's what's holding this thing up or down. Mr. Jalen Hurts, is he good enough to take a team to a Super Bowl? Because they're building a nice roster. And then I'll say this. You tell me if you like their outside pass rush. Brandon Graham, Josh Sweet. No, I think there's some issues there, but I have great respect for what they're doing. But you tell me, isn't it all about Hurts for these guys?
No question. Absolutely. And they've set themselves up where they'll make their verdict this year, and they've got 2 first-round picks next year. So if he's not the guy, they will move on. Pat, we are moving on. Have a great holiday weekend, and we'll look forward to talking again on Tuesday.
Yeah, do me a favor, you guys. Send me a text and tell me who you're going to pick to win each division because I have to do it on Monday, and I have great respect for your opinion.
All right. We'll do that.
Either that or he's just going to fade both of us.
Well, he's going to just hold it against us later on in the year. Pat Kirwan, Moving the Chains, NFL Radio, Sirius XM 88. Thanks so much for listening. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Just curious, in Twitch world, how many of you see a 1-minute ad? I just press the button to run an ad. I don't think you get it if you subscribe. I'm just curious. Every once in a while, I pop that on there. We get paid like 4 cents if I do it.
We just made 4 cents?
I think so.
Wow.
But anybody that subscribes, they don't see those ads. And it's not just because Twitch will throw them in occasionally, whether you want them or not.
Mark, that means if you do it 3 times a show, that's 12 cents. 5 shows a week, 60 cents.
Get a stamp.
So get a stamp every week, number one. But then, 4 weeks in a month. I mean, Mark, we'll make $2.40. Now, do we get all of that, or
no,
do we
just
have
half.
to split it? So then we get half of it, and then you and I split it. So we'll each make 60 cents.
Right, we can get a stamp.
Well, since you don't go to the post office, I'll take it and keep it all.
Do you know that my wife has happy birthday stamps? Like, my wife sends birthday cards.
Right.
To most everybody she's, like acquaintance friends with, if you will. Happy birthday stamps, too. Can't do it for 21 more minutes, Jake. I only can do like one every half hour, I think is what it is, something like that.
Thank God. The Twitch dashboard. Oh. Exactly. TVG account.
Ooh.
Philly's cut. That's funny. So,
The Philly cut?
yeah, we were just
talking about the $1.20 we're going to make. They asked what your cut is.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
So we'll give you 20 cents and him and I will each get 50.
I just got to be able to buy a stamp. What's a stamp cost these days?
I think it's 60.
Holy Christ.
Are you kidding me?
What do you mean? Are you kidding me? It's the best value in the world. Think about it.
It used to be like 40.
There you go, David.
Hey,
you got a haircut this week, didn't you? Is it your first one since you got...
It is the first one. I'm trying to think, when did I get it?
Is it last week or this week? I noticed it.
I think it was over the weekend.
Okay, I thought Monday I noticed, and it is the first time.
I think it was Sunday.
First time after that really nice cut.
Yeah,
After
right.
The Tyler Hero.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. College football presidents having a virtual meeting today. They could change the playoffs from 4 to 12 teams, and they could move it up starting in 2024 instead of 2026. The feeling is if they vote, it'll be unanimous. And if they don't vote, it's because they know it won't be unanimous. So there. Donovan Mitchell, Cleveland Cavalier. Big trade made yesterday in the NBA. Serena plays tonight, third round of the U.S. Open. Yankees and Rays tonight as well. Rays, I mean, they could sweep. It'd be 3 back, 2 in a loss column. Just saying, even 2 out of 3, 5 back, 4 in the loss column. Play the Yankees 6 of the next 9. We're just saying. All right. You remember, and I forget the gentleman's name, but he used to do the 10,000 simulations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We used to bring him on. Well, that's now become the thing. He was like analytics before analytics, and so we were ahead of the curve too. We didn't realize it.
Prediction. What was it?
Prediction machine.
Prediction machine.
Right. So there's a guy who does this now called Austin Mock, and The Athletic kind of used him in his information, in which he has a betting model. And then off of that, so anyway, he played every team's games 10,000 times to project every team's win total. The Bills came out with the highest win total at 11.6. Packers were second at 11.4. Cowboys were third at 10.6. So, I mean, this model here, not a lot of double-digit win teams. Chiefs at 10-6, Bucks at 10-5, Rams at 10-1, Colts at 10. Technically, that's it. Now, the Ravens are 9-9, the Chargers are 9-8, Niners are 9-7, Vikings are 9-7, Bengals are 9.5, Broncos are 9-4, so are the Saints. Eagles are 9, Dolphins are 8.9. Cardinals are 8-7. Patriots 8-6. So are the Titans. Raiders are 8.3.
So everybody, 8.3 is the lowest in that division of the AFC West.
Correct. Browns are 8-2. Commanders are 8-2, which I think is a little higher than a lot of us think. Carolina's 7.5. I think that's a little higher than most of us think. We'll say, once again, number 22 stays healthy. That's a huge blanket if.
It's a gigantic if, but if he does, one of the biggest game changers there is out there.
Steelers are 7-1. Lions are 6-9. Giants are 6-6. Jags are 6.2, which would double their win total from last year. Seahawks are 6. Bears are 5-9. Falcons are 5-8. Texans are 4-8. Jets at 4.7.
Are on the clock, huh?
Lowest win total in the league. All right. Now, some of these just don't make sense to me. The Eagles won 9 games last year. The Eagles seem to be noticeably better this year. Noticeably better. And yet this thing projects their win total being the same. Now, I understand you can play a more difficult schedule this year than last based on your crossovers, etc. But I found it interesting. I mean, you want to talk about a league of parity here when only, 6 teams, it seemed like, projected 10 wins or more?
Let me ask you a question. 6 teams, 10 or more on there. What do you think I think we both think it'll be Buffalo at the end of the day. What do you think will be the best record in the league this year? Does someone win 13 games?
By the way, technically 7 teams with 10, and then the Ravens were 9-9. But so that's a good point. Best record in the league. Yeah, I think somebody puts a 13-4 on the board. It should be Buffalo, despite the fact that the AFC East teams play a very challenging schedule this year. But to me, it's time for Buffalo to finally play up to everything. Stop losing some games that you
don't lose to the Steelers like you did a year ago.
And
the Jags.
The Jags probably cost them a trip to the Super Bowl. That game, they would have hosted Kansas City. One would think the final 13 seconds plays out differently. They would have ended up hosting Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game. The regular season loss to the Jags likely kept the Bills out of the Super Bowl last year. That's the stuff you don't do when you're finally a championship team.
When you're an elite team, you cannot lose games like that. There's no doubt.
And it's seemingly, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers never lose those games. Now, they may lose games against good teams in the playoffs, but they seemingly never throw away a regular season game.
Which is why it's tough to have me think they don't get to 12 in the NFC. It really is. And I know they're not as good as they were a year ago.
Which would be a game worse than last year. And if you think, by the way, they're significantly worse than they were a year ago without Devontae, I might even agree with you. Their schedule's much easier, though. Like, they went 13-4 against a much tougher schedule than the one they're playing this year. So if you look at them and go, well, they're 2 games worse this year than last year. Well, the schedule may make up a game. So that's why, like, you came up with 12-5. I think you're going to be right there.
And I think 12-5 might be enough to get the 1 in the NFC.
Okay. Might be. I mean, last year, Bucks and Rams each had 12. And Cowboys. I mean, the 2, 3, and 4 seeds all had the same win total last year in the NFC. 113 and 3 12s.
Boy, everybody has a much higher opinion of the Dallas Cowboys than I do. Everyone. The simulators do. The odds makers do. I'm trying to figure out what I'm missing. They lost a lot offensively. That offensive line's not nearly as good. They take more penalties than anybody in the league. Does anybody think these things are changing?
So there you have it. A simulator, somebody who obviously got more on the ball than us 2 yahoos, and just throwing out what's it, 10,000 games that they play? No, actually 100,000 times. Like, the prediction machine did 10,000. His simulator, he did 100,000 times. And that's what his computer spit out.
Our poll question today is, which 3-point dog do you give a better shot to win? Florida, Florida State, both or neither? Right now, Florida State getting 40% of the vote. Florida getting 32% of the vote. Neither getting 18% of the vote right now. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or FL Sports Network on Twitter or floridasportsnetwork.com to vote.
If you had to vote right now, team you think will have the best record in the league?
Buffalo.
Okay.
Buffalo. And I mean, it's the best roster. It's still a division that I think that they have a very good chance to go undefeated in. At worst, 5-1.
Which is what they went last year. They lost the crazy win game to the Patriots. Swept the Jets and Dolphins.
And I don't know if there's another team in the AFC that can have that type of control over their division the way the Bills can. Certainly don't think the AFC West, which may have the best teams, I don't think anybody's going 5-1 in that division. Now, the Colts or Titans could.
Because in theory, beat up on Houston and Jacksonville, even if you split against each other, and there you go. Well, it can't be the Colts because they can't beat the Jags. So obviously, if we're going to have a team go 5-1, it's the Titans.
Well, that's unless, of course, the Colts sweep the Titans.
Which, goodness knows, is possible. Because they just can't beat the Jags. They can beat everybody else.
Everybody else.
Titans with a big injury yesterday. Harold Landry, torn ACL. He was their best pass rusher. Had 12 sacks last year. Tough to find guys like that, period. Never mind on September 2nd. Once again, we're waiting. JPP, Sue. Who's that Bears lineman? Is it Harris? Who's sitting out there, 34 years old, but had double-digit sacks last year in the final year of his contract? Eagles? Titans? I don't know. Give up another pick. Go get him. Chris Landry is next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. Golfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. All right.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Doing great.
How's the show going?
Going good, man.
Going
No
good.
real complaints. Trying to add a couple more networks, which are a couple more affiliates, which would be fantastic.
Stations, yeah, that's cool. That's great.
Apparently have a little headway on a couple more, and hopefully we'll have something here in the next few weeks. So that would be big.
Yeah, that would be great. Make sure my phone's off.
How are things on your end?
Good, actually. Good. Things are picking up, and it's busy. Obviously, with the season, it's a grind. It's not quite coaching grind, but it's not far from it. It's in terms of the hours, but it's good. It's juggling both college and NFL is always a challenge, but I wouldn't do it any other way. It's been good. Just excited to get the college season underway and NFL season next week. So yeah, just good. Just the podcasts are going good. Just growing that, and
that switch you make help you out with your podcast that we were talking about a while back. That
yeah, what I did is I got actually the guy that I talked to you guys about, Justin Hall, has really done wonders for me. I mean, he's killing it for me. The programmatic stuff and and the direct sales stuff. So you just kind of get it in both ends, which is good. But then I've kind of learned to do like more mini podcasts, like shorter versions. It's more stuff, and you plug in the programmatics, and it's basically more content. Well, that's great when you do a 20-minute, 15, 20-minute segment on a topic. You can do a whole show, but then you can do a series of shorter shows, and that's just more content, and people tend to like that. Oh, I want to see about Nebraska. I want to see about Texas. I want to see about Florida, whatever. So, how people are. Sometimes they don't want to listen to a whole hour. They want to just go to whatever they want to. So we try to give them, a little bit of everything. The long form.
For me, that's so appetizing, Chris, because I'm one of those people, and I love, Late Kick Josh, I think does a great job. Bud Elliott, we have on our show, his podcast, 45 minutes. When I'm running around, I don't know if I have, that's my biggest anti-podcast thing. If things are 10, 15 minutes and I've got a car ride while I'm waiting to pick my daughter up from school,
there you go.
I can get to the start and end. That's a big deal.
Yeah, you can just, listen to 15 minutes of how Nebraska got in that situation, where do they go from here, boom, and it's done. If you're not interested in it, then there's something else you might be interested in. And
you mean there was more than kicking an onside kick up 11?
No, I'm not just talking about the game. I'm talking about how they got there over the years. Yeah, but just whatever. It's just like right now, I'm going to kick out all the division previews in the NFL. Well, I'm going to do them, by division. I'm going to do 8 of them, and just boom, you want to listen to all of them. It's easy, just listen to all of them. You just only care about one division,
Well, we're going to hit all the big college games here, okay?
Sounds great.
$30 seconds. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mike Glennon, former NC State quarterback, journeyman quarterback for over a decade in the NFL. He's still trying to play, but he's also dipping his toes in the whole broadcasting thing. So we'll talk some ACC football with Mike Glennon coming up at the top of the hour. It is a thrill to welcome back Chris Landry from LandryFootball.com. LandryFootball.com. If you're into football, whether it's the Cliff Notes version or you want to be neck deep into a scouting report of a team or a game, Chris Landry can provide it for you. Access LandryFootball.com if you haven't before. You'll be glad that you did. Chris, David, and Mark, it's been a while. How are you?
I'm doing great. Really great being back on with you guys. You guys sound great. Excited for everything you guys are doing, and good to be with you. It's football season. You got to be happy, huh?
Darn right. It's a football Friday, man. We've been waiting for that for months and months and months, and now A great night to start last night. A couple of decent games tonight. Not a whole lot on there, but we're going to talk mostly Saturdays with you, Chris, and I want to get right after it. Let's go to the Florida Gators and Utah. This is a game that, to both of us, when we look at it and the talent that Utah has, a top 5, maybe a top 10 team for sure, a top 5 team possibly, and they're only a 3-point favorite in the Swamp. That says that Vegas thinks something about this game. How do you see Florida and Utah, Chris?
Well, I think the first thing is, and I say this as a Southerner, that most people in the South are probably not aware of how truly good this Utah team is. I think it is the best developmental program in the country. And by developmental program, I mean take 2 and 3 stars and develop them into really good teams, really good pro prospects. A lot of developmental programs, they do a really good job of working angles and quickness. This may be as physical a team as Florida will play all year long. In fact, 2 weeks, Florida, Kentucky, they're going to be battered and bruised physically. How often can you say an SEC team plays out of conference, and they may not be the most physical team of the 2 in the game? Very good on the offensive and defensive line is Utah. Cameron Rising really kind of lit things up and turned them in a positive direction last year at quarterback. Tavion Thomas is an outstanding back. Their secondary is really good. It's a really good team. Now, Florida has more, explosive talent. And I don't think Utah is one of the more talented teams. They're just well coached. They're well developed. And the finished product is always really good. Now, they don't always play as well early in the year or on the road. So that's going to be interesting to see. I just think there's some unknown with Florida. I think they still are pretty athletic on defense. I think Anthony Richardson's going to have to make a lot of plays in this game. If he can kind of put the team on its back, I think that's going to be the key. Expect it to be close. Expect it to be kind of a line of scrimmage type of game. Who can make enough explosive plays and get out on a lead? That's the team that's in pretty good shape there, because I don't see this as being an explosive up and down game.
All right. The other in-state school that's also a 3-point dog is Florida State. They're headed your way to take on LSU, quote unquote neutral field. Yeah, it's in New Orleans, so it's not a neutral field, although the Noles did sell their 30,000 tickets. I think Florida State's pulling the upset. I think, first half of this season is when you need to get Brian Kelly and LSU, and I think they can get him. How off base am I?
No, I don't think you're off base. I think it'll be an interesting game because there's some unknowns with LSU. I think Jaden Daniels will play, although I think Nussmeier will start, and then I think Nussmeier will probably play. We'll see how that quarterback plays out. It's transition year. LSU's really good at receiver. They're very good on the defensive line, and so there's still talent. Now, there's a lot of cleaning up of a lot of mess that Ed Orgeron left. I mean, 2019 was great, but it was a disaster after that, just culturally. So how quickly can LSU put it together? I think you're right. I think they'll be better as the year goes along, and certainly I think better in future years. This is where Florida State needs to get one here. It played well early in the year last year. I know last week they did a nice job. Still think LSU overall has more playmakers. I think it comes down to the quarterback play. I still think it's an upset. If I just had to, pick it, I would probably say LSU, but it wouldn't surprise me if FSU played well, and if they do, don't turn it over. I think they've got a shot here.
All right, the 2 big games of the week, one of them in Athens as Dan Lanning and Oregon come, the former D coordinator for Georgia. Just how much does a coach who has this much information on a team, how much, when you look at the game, how much is the coaching factor, I don't say take over for talent, but complement talent in a game like this?
I think it helps. I think what it does, if you're the defensive guy who's the defensive coach, you went against this Georgia offense and minus the players that have left, you know what Stetson Bennett can do, but you know what makes him uncomfortable because you do it every day in practice. So I think it does help you. And, he knows more about Georgia's personnel. Now, I will mention this, not as well known, but Georgia hired an Oregon assistant on their staff. So they've got some intel on Oregon that's maybe a little bit more. It still is going to come down to, players making plays and making Stetson Bennett uncomfortable. And can Georgia, with a really good receiving core, and certainly the best receiving tight end in college football, who's not a tight end, I'm sorry, he's really a big slot in Brock Bowers. I still think Georgia's the more explosive team, the better team. Look, they lost a lot, but they've got a lot returning, and they played a lot of guys in rotation last year. So all those guys that are in the NFL, there's some guys they've recruited well for years and years. Oregon, I think the offensive line's pretty solid. They don't have Penei Sewell, but they're pretty solid offensive line, and the defensive line is pretty good. But ironically, Georgia's more playmakers, and you kind of think West Coast, Pac-12. I don't know that the quarterback situation is going to be good enough for Oregon to pull this out. But I think line of scrimmage-wise, they might be able to play this better than people think.
Quickly, Chris, follow up. Georgia is seen as the third best team in the country behind Alabama and Ohio State. Oregon is seen as maybe best team in Pac-12. Their preseason rankings in the 11, 12, 13 range. Is that an accurate assessment of both teams from what you believe they have coming back?
Yes. So what I do is grade teams like I grade players on a draft board. You can because I think it's when you start ranking the fourth and fifth best, there's a huge gap between 3 and 4, and so there's a big difference. I think it's Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and then there's a gap. So there's really not a fourth or a fifth. You got to go down to about 8, and that's where maybe a Clemson comes in. Then I think you start to sprinkle in maybe an Oregon or whatever. So I think there's a difference there. And I do think there's an advantage being Atlanta. Oregon's got to come well. But I just think that the better personnel is with Georgia. And then there's a little bit of an adjustment period. How is Dan going to handle big game moments? As a head coach, we don't know. I just think the roster is better. And if they played 10 times, Georgia'd win 7 out of 10. But maybe this is one of the 3. It really does depend on how well Georgia plays. If they play a clean game, they win. If they play it really clean and Oregon struggles a little bit, they win it big. If Georgia plays very sloppy, then Oregon's got a shot. It basically, I would give it maybe less of a shot, but maybe similar to what Oregon did last year in winning at Ohio State. But Ohio State's defense really struggled in that game. Georgia's defense is not going to give them the same leeway, and I don't think Oregon is quite as explosive on offense this year.
Well, speaking of the Buckeyes, they take on Notre Dame, new defensive coordinator trying to shore up that side of the ball. First off, how much better do you think the Ohio State defense will be? Because we have a pretty good idea what that offense is going to look like, Chris.
Yeah, look, Jim Knowles is an outstanding coach. He did a great job at Oklahoma State, and what a collapse the Cowboys had last night against Central Michigan in the second half. They still won it, but gave up a ton of points. I think they'll be better. They need to be quite a bit better. There's talent on that Ohio State defense, but make no mistake, this is an explosive offensive team. Quarterback, best receiver room in college ball. They'll great back, good offensive line. They've got all the pieces offensively. Notre Dame wants to keep this physical, close, because they can't get in a shootout. They've got Michael Mayer that Tyler Buckner, I think, is going to be a good quarterback, but they can't get in a shootout. They got no shot here. I hope from a viewing standpoint that it's close and Notre Dame could keep it close. So we got a good fourth quarter like we had a couple of games last night. My sense is that if Ohio State plays well, and unless they're, off kilter early, which they have been in early games, by the way. So that's the only hope of this game getting close. Because I think if Ohio State's clicking on offense, they'll get a lead, and I think it'll be a decisive win. But in first games, sometimes you don't get the best of the teams. You got to work your way into it through the schedule.
By the way, which roster do you like better, Ohio State's or Alabama?
Alabama's, because Alabama has got the 2 best players. Well, I think 2 of the 3 best players in the country, one on offense, one on defense. There's no Will Anderson at Ohio State. Alabama's better on the defensive side.
What about Cincinnati and Arkansas? I don't know how much you've looked at that game. It's pretty intriguing because Cincinnati's a team that they're picked to win that division. They're picked to maybe, they've got a shot at putting a donut up there again this year. Arkansas had a really nice year last year. Pittman's a great recruiter. Coaches in the trenches pretty well. I think this is a fascinating game, Chris.
Yeah, and the difference in it, and first of all, Cincinnati's not going away. I mean, they're built well. Luke Fickell's done a really good job. They're good at the line of scrimmage, but what they don't have, and last year, when that magical run, they had in Desmond Ridder a guy that bailed them out a few times. Not going to have that this year, and Arkansas has one of those guys. KJ Jefferson physically is the closest thing on the hoof to Cam Newton that I've seen. He is just huge. He is athletic, and they're going to run it. They're going to run it with pace, and I think that'll be the difference. I think Arkansas is a better team here, and I think they'll win, not decisively, but I do like Cincinnati this year. I just don't like them as much today, this week.
Is there a school you think is grossly overrated? Mine's Notre Dame. If I had to nominate a second one, I'd say A&M. I thought they lost a decent amount off of last year's team, and I think this might be a retool season. If 9-3 can be a retool season. But so Notre Dame and A&M are my overrated. Who's yours?
Well, I think, again, I go back to what I said. If you're going to rank a top 25, like that's what people do, you got to put somebody fifth. Anybody that you're going to put fifth is overrated. They're not. There's a gap between the three and down a little bit. So you can put Notre Dame in there. You can put A&M in there. Good teams, but yeah, I think there's only three teams that are really capable of winning the national championship. That's most of the case most years. So to me, the race is: does something bad happen to one of those teams to knock them out, or who's going to be that fourth team? And I think you can throw a dozen teams in the mix that could potentially be that fourth team, like a Michigan was last year, or Cincinnati. They're going to be overmatched in the playoffs, but that's kind of how I see it. So I think anybody that you put in at 5, I can sit there and say, you know what, they're really. So you got to put somebody in there if you're going to rank them. So I don't know that I would change it. I'd probably move some teams around a little bit, but yeah, I see a lot of them more.
All right, Chris, 2 minutes remaining. Your scouting report on the Canes. How good do you think they are this year?
I think they'll be better. I think it's more about what they can do in the future. I think they've got a path in that division to win it. Pitt, who won a tough one last night, it's them and Pitt in terms of who's got a roster. Pitt's probably a little bit better on the defensive front, but I think that it's a good team. I think Mario's going to bring about, along with their NIL deal, with a very influential and wealthy lawyer, is going to make them a player, it appears, into the future. But I think it's going to be natural growth. I'm very curious to see how they go up against A&M. I think it's next week or 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I think it's the 17th, a night game in College Station. It'll be great. Chris, we'll look forward to this every week. All the best. LandryFootball.com, LandryFootball.com. Chris Landry has been a coach, been a scout, been an administrator. He's done work for, Belichick, Saban. So, he's got a few credentials. You want the Cliff Notes version of a team or a game, he can give it to you at LandryFootball.com. You want to be neck deep swimming in something, he gives you that as well. Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. We'll have him on every Friday at this time. Chris, all the best. Have a great holiday.
Hey, you guys do the same. Enjoy the games. Good to be with you.
Chris Landry, kind enough to join us once again, and he also is kind enough to join us on Twitch. You get to see Chris from his working den, if you will.
Love his desk. Love all the big binders behind him.
You could tell he's a nooks and crannies guy.
Oh, man.
He doesn't have the bobbleheads and the helmets.
No, there's no Coke bottles in there.
There's one.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local, eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh. Ernie Shavers died yesterday.
Oh, damn.
You say Bernie Sanders?
No, I said Ernie Shavers.
Oh, I thought you said Bernie Sanders.
74-14-1. 68 knockouts. He was 78. Just turned 78 on Wednesday.
89 fights.
Right. Well, we got a good middle segment here that we we haven't touched on the whole New York Post story that Brady and Giselle hate one another.
Well, she's very angry at him.
Right. And Tua being named captain.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple of little quick hits there we can throw in that little segment. Brats on Monday. Chicken thighs tonight. You know what, fam? That pork butt might happen. I need a smoker.
Freaking love brats.
What's everyone cooking this weekend?
You know why chicken thigh for me tonight? Made a pot roast last night. It was wonderful. I love pot roast.
My mother went through a phase where for the longest time she did it really well, and then she lost her touch. And I mean lost it.
It's one of those things that with a crock pot, it's hard to lose your touch.
And for some reason, somehow, like she did. And
was it a crock pot thing? Because
Yeah.
Your mom worked. I figured as much.
Totally.
Put it on in the morning, put it on low, come home and have dinner. I mean,
right.
We had, growing up at pot roast, Polish sausage and sauerkraut was another crock pot my mom did. There was a lot of those crock pot things that mom would put in.
Well, don't let
Is it really? The electric smoker's the way to go, huh? I've thought about trying to configure my Weber into doing, how you can turn a Weber into one. I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos. I've thought about that.
Don't let her hear that she lost her touch. What the hell, man?
No.
She doesn't
She'll
care.
admit it. No. She'll admit it.
Dude, if I told my grandma that she lost her touch,
It's different.
No, yeah,
It's
obviously.
different. His mom, if you've listened to the show, his mom announced one day, I'm no longer cooking. We're going out for every meal.
I was 9.
He was 9.
Right around.
Think about that.
Just before 10, I think. She made an
I do
announcement.
use a Dutch oven, Adam. I do. I'm talking to the guy that doesn't cook over here to my right.
Right.
Don't talk down to me like that, Adam.
Don't lie to me, Ray.
You know what I had for breakfast this morning? I baked some French bread, buttered it, put some olive oil in a small plate, salt, pepper, dab. So good.
Making me hungry.
I love
So you
bread.
baked bread this morning? You baked a loaf of bread? Or you toasted a loaf of bread?
My bad. I toasted.
You didn't bake a loaf of bread this morning.
I didn't bake shit.
My mom says I was 12 when she made that announcement. Mom, I thought you made it when we were in 18 coster. 12, we were in 1 coster. I thought we were still at 18 coster when you made that announcement, but yeah, either way.
So
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on a football Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. And we'll actually have a guest in the bonus hour. All right. We usually keep our guests between 6 and 9 a.m. because that's when we're on 4 stations. 9 to 10 a.m. we're on 1 station. So, we usually have our guests where our entire audience, if you will, can hear us. But Mike Glennon has agreed to join us. Still hoping to keep his NFL career going. But we'll talk a little college football with Mike Glennon and the quarterbacks that are going to be in the league here a year from now, particularly coming from his former conference, the ACC. Mike, it is David and Mark. We really appreciate your time. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Well, we are doing well. Mike Glennon, 9 years in the NFL, hoping for a 10th. You can follow Mike on Twitter at Mike_Glennon, Mike_Glennon.
Let's start with your alma mater. They're at ECU this weekend. That's going to be a tough game for them because it's the Super Bowl for ECU, but this is an NC State team that looks to be pretty tough. What's your assessment of the Wolfpack?
Yeah, historically, going to Greenville for NC State has been tough. In the state of North Carolina, this is a huge game, and for ECU fans, this is as big of a game as they're going to have all season. So it's going to be rowdy. When I was there, when Russell Wilson was a quarterback, we lost to ECU, but I still think at the end of the day, this NC State team is just too talented for ECU, and I think NC State actually rolls them pretty well. Just with Devin Leary, with the returning of the defense, I just think they're going to be too much for ECU to handle.
Mike, we've been commenting throughout the week how, and I don't want to use this word badly, but how nice, how great it is that NC State's going to ECU, North Carolina's going to App State, Vodtech's going to Old Dominion. Okay, for lack of a better word, Mike, those are cool games that these Power 5 schools would agree to go play.
I agree. I think there's been so much hype. I live in Raleigh, and there's been so much excitement about this game for months now. And for ECU fans to have NC State come in, they kind of feel like they're kind of get the wrong end of the stick, that they belong in a better conference and all that. And I'm sure ODU fans are similar, and App State and UNC. I mean, it is going to be a great weekend for college football to kick off this way with kind of these, not unspoken rivalries, but kind of like this little brother feeling they want to beat up on the big brother, the one that gets all the attention. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch these games, and I'm excited the way that the schedule kind of came out this way.
Years ago when I worked in Raleigh, I used to refer to Carolina blue as powder blue, and I had someone call the show that I worked on every day and demand that I would be fired because of that. I for whatever reason, I always had a soft spot for the Wolfpack, and I always had a problem with North Carolina fans when I lived in North Carolina, but they travel to App State. App State's a favorite in this game. Are they going to get it done?
I don't think they're going to get it done. I think at the end of the day, UNC is going to pull off the win. But man, I don't. That's going to be, I think, the best atmosphere of them all. Those App State fans are great, and they're going to be ready to go because for the reason what you said, Carolina kind of walks around a little bit in this state like they're a little bit better than everyone else, and App State's kind of more the blue collar school, and they don't like that. So I still think UNC does pull it off, but I see why Vegas thinks that there's a good chance that App State can pull off this upset.
Mike Glennon, 9 years in the NFL, an NC State grad. Follow him on Twitter, Mike_Glennon, Mike_Glennon. By the way, ACC's got some quarterbacks this year, don't they?
Man, this is a loaded conference. I've kind of, now that I didn't have training camp, I spent my August just watching film of these ACC quarterbacks, and from, it is deep as it gets in the entire country. There's probably 7-8 guys that belong towards the top of the conference that could play in any other conference and be one of the best guys. But, starting with Devin Leary at NC State, this guy has the most arm talent in the conference and one of the most in the country. And you go around the league, Malik Cunningham out of Louisville is the closest thing we've seen to Lamar Jackson with his feet, but he can also throw the ball just like Lamar can. And Tyler Van Dyke in Miami is who I think a future first-round pick. He's kind of the full package. Brennan Armstrong out of Virginia is extremely smart, plays with great anticipation, great accuracy, and the list goes on and on. I mean, last night we saw Keaton Slovis kind of burst onto the scene a little bit and lead Pitt to a big victory in that backyard brawl. And man, it is a loaded conference that it was a lot of fun to watch and break down these guys.
Mike, if an NFL team called you and hired you and they're in need of a quarterback and they're like, all right, Mike, 30 seconds. All right. What's the number one attribute? Because obviously at your position, guys going first and third overall in the draft cannot make it. You're a third round pick. You've played 9 years. I mean, it's obviously a difficult position for us as fans and the media, never mind NFL guys and scouts, to figure out what's the secret sauce that you didn't know coming out of NC State that you realized in these last 9 years.
You got to have accuracy, and you have to be able to process information at a very high level. And if you can't do one of the two, you got to make up for it with athleticism. And clearly I don't have the athleticism, so I have to play with accuracy and with be able to process information. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's always going to come down to a quarterback that can stand in the pocket on third down and convert and complete that pass. So guys that can deliver accurate, catchable balls that allow for ball placement, for run after the catch, and get the ball out on time and go to the right spot. Those are the guys that are always going to succeed. As you see, obviously Tom Brady is an extreme case, but the Drew Brees of the world. I mean, you go all the way down the line. All these guys have the ability to be accurate and process information at a very high level.
What did you think, all in all, the Pitt quarterback last night? That was a great game, great atmosphere, and he got it done. The transfer Slovis, what was your assessment of his performance last night?
Yeah, I need to kind of see the film. It's sometimes hard to tell from just watching the TV. But I thought he played well. I think, at the end of the day, he won the game, and he made a few good throws here and there. But I think if Pitt wants to get back to being an ACC championship, I would want to see a little bit more out of him. But all in all, it's definitely a good start. You can't get mad about a guy that threw for, around, what he threw for 300 yards or so and led them to the victory. So I grade it definitely as a winning performance, but just want to see a little bit more kind of splash plays out of him and avoid taking some of those sacks that he took and getting rid of the ball a little quicker.
Mike, in your estimation, how important are number of starts in college when you're thinking about taking a guy, because we've seen the two extremes. There are organizations that believe they won't touch a guy unless he's got 30 or more college starts, and we've seen guys go really high in the first round who essentially have played 1 year, and it doesn't even have to be 1 year at the highest level. Okay, the significance of starts on Saturdays for you.
I believe it's very important. I don't know the exact statistics, but from what I've noticed is guys that come into the league having a lot of starts, having a lot of live game reps, they seem to fare better. Now, there's going to be a few exceptions. You know, I only started 2 years. I was with Mr. Brisky, only started 1. But I think if you look at probably some of the top guys, they've all played a lot of ball before they get to the league. And I would definitely prefer, if I was taking a guy that high in the draft, that he has probably more than 30 starts under your belt, just because it's such a small sample size that you don't know exactly what you're getting. If it's less than that, and those reps, every rep adds up, and it is so valuable. Practice reps are great, but nothing can replace those live game reps where you have the threat of actually being hit, where you know the negative interceptions have a real consequence versus practice when you just kind of move on to the next play.
How much of a gap do you see between Clemson and the rest of the ACC? Who's closest, and how big of a gap is there between whether it's Miami, Pitt, or NC State and Clemson?
I think NC State's right there with them. Now, Clemson has the best defense in the league, but NC State's defense is very good, returning 10 of 11 starters, and I'm taking NC State's quarterback in Devin Leary over Clemson's situation right now. And Clemson's going to have to get that situation figured out fast. If DJ Uiagalelei doesn't show improvement from last year, they're going to have to heavily consider moving on to their 5-star freshman quarterback in Clay Klubnik before NC State comes into town week 4. I mean, they're going to have a tough decision to make of how long do we ride with DJ versus how do we get this guy reps, because when NC State goes down to Death Valley, that could be the game of the year in the ACC.
Mike, you said you call Raleigh home still. Is there any talk, we in Florida, we go big picture more often, and we're talking about the future of the ACC. And I'm just curious, what's the talk in your neck of the woods about the future of the ACC?
The talk is that ACC is in good shape, that this grant of rights deal is, I guess, legit, and it's going to be hard for people to leave. Obviously, I'm concerned as an NC State fan and alumni that I want to, raise my kids watching them go play Clemson and watching them go play Florida State and all these other schools. So I'm concerned, but from the talks is that it's in good shape, and I definitely want to see the ACC stick together. I think it's a great conference, and we'll see what happens though. I mean, it's definitely a threat, the haves and have-nots, and I think NC State would be right on that edge of being in or out. So I really hope the ACC just sticks together. It's been a great conference to watch. A lot of good NFL players come out of this conference, and obviously Clemson's kind of run the show for the past decade plus. You date back to the years of Florida State, and then once Virginia Tech, Miami joined. I mean, there's been a lot of good football to come out of this conference.
Well, and it's a salty conference this year, and as you pointed out, it is the quarterback conference this year, which usually leads to a bunch of good teams. Mike, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. All the best. We know you could be in camp tomorrow with somebody. Okay, but
thank you guys very much. I hope so.
But if not, hope we can do this down the road.
Let's do it. That was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
Mike Glennon, 9 years in the NFL, waiting for a phone call for year 10 as a third-round pick out of NC State, drafted by the Bucs originally.
Yep. It is interesting. And obviously, he knows more about football than my kid does. I'm not saying that, but my son just graduated ECU. I talked to him yesterday. He goes, it is the Super Bowl for ECU up here. He goes, it is already nuts on Thursday.
That's awesome. It's just awesome.
People showing up. Town's going to be packed. Every hotel is going to be sold out. And, it's interesting. He says they're going to roll. Lee liked ECU in the points. One of them's going to be wrong.
North Carolina State visiting East Carolina, North Carolina visiting App State, Virginia Tech visiting Old Dominion.
Great stuff.
Yeah. Way to go, guys. Job well done. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when? All 25 minutes away. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The Ravel tweet. What would you think of that?
I don't like any
Yeah.
of that stuff. You know what I like? I like a hamburger.
Thank you.
I don't mind like Fat Cats, kind of by your place there.
Yeah.
They serve one with brisket on it. That's pretty good.
They do?
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
But that's, I don't even like bacon on a burger for the most part. I like a cheeseburger. Some pickles. The occasional onion.
I ask because Darren Ravel sent out a tweet. Apparently new this year at Cowboys games. It's the fried mozzarella burger. It's fried mozzarella sticks, marinara burger, and pepper jack cheese.
Dude, I'm starving.
I won't even eat today until dinner. May drink, but we'll see. I haven't had a drink in 6 days.
I might eat, take a nap, and then get ready for this game.
I had a 2+ hour nap yesterday.
I wanted it. I had to help my mother.
It's glorious.
My mother completely bastardized my nap.
By the way, FGCU's men's soccer team is from around the world.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The starting lineup has 2 people from the United States.
That's why they're good.
It's crazy.
Well,
they were good.
Let's hope.
They beat a Big Ten opponent, Northwestern. It's a nice little win.
A lot of Connors and Blakes on that Northwestern team would be my guess.
Oh, yeah. Really easy names. Adam Scott. Daniel.
Ain't it the truth, Michael? Ain't it the truth? That's where I am, Guillermo. I love bacon. I adore bacon, but I don't need it on my hamburger. I'd like it with eggs. That's me.
I never usually go bacon on a burger, but anytime I do, it's usually the Baconator at Wendy's. Oh, I love the Baconator.
Just fast food in general. Just the whole sound of it just makes me.
It is. Maybe I'll go to Ford's. Ford's burger.
The brisket burger there's pretty. They've got a brisket one too.
Their smoked brisket is so damn good.
I wouldn't go that far. You've never really had barbecue.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I've only been to Texas once. And
because they don't even probably smoke their brisket at Ford's. It's probably pre-bought. There's no smoker back there.
That's what I'm guessing.
Texas Tony's brisket's really good.
Texas Tony's brisket is good.
You know,
I wish that's the one that would have win.
I know,
I'm not a ginormous Pinterest fan. It's fine.
Right.
You know, I mean, it is what it is.
But it's funny. I thought he was going to put one in Lee County.
He's always talked about it. I always love that concept.
Couldn't find the location.
I know half the servers at Ford's. I'm actually curious. Do they have a smoker?
Boy, you got that right, Guillermo. I drove by there the other day. Poor guy. What a tragic story. Fam, I'm right there with you. Like $500-600 and they cook pizzas in 3 minutes. The whole concept blows me away. I started looking online at one of them, and you know what happens then? They pop.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. All coming up. Next segment. You told me something a couple commercial breaks ago that hit me kind of hard. And I didn't have it in the starting five. I didn't see it. I didn't hear about it.
I had told you about a lot of things during the commercial break, so I didn't know which one it was. But yeah, I was going through the New York Post during one of the breaks and saw that Ernie Shavers passed away. Heavyweight boxer. Great fighter.
When the heavyweight division was just the best I think it ever was, which was the early 70s. It was amazing. I mean, obviously, Ali, Frazier, Foreman, but you had Ernie Shavers, you had Ron Lyle, you had Ken Norton, you had the Corys.
Right.
I mean, the heavyweight division was, and they all fought each other, too.
And they fought, seemingly every 3-4 months, 3 fights a year.
Shavers fought twice for the heavyweight title. He fought Ali near the end for Ali. He fought Ali in 77. Ali loses to Spinks in February of 78 and then wins the rematch to win the title, and he retires the first time. But Shavers had him hurt in that fight, which, needless to say, was difficult to do with Ali. I mean, one of the greatest chins in the history of the sport. And then 2 years later, one of the very first, if not the first, title fight for Larry Holmes after he won the fight. Ali retires. Norton was the number one contender. They gave Norton the belt. Holmes won the challenge, a series of fights. Holmes won the right to fight Norton for the title, 15-round epic fight. Holmes wins the 15th round and wins a split decision for the heavyweight title. And then, of course, he keeps it for 6+ years. And one of his very first challenges was Shavers, and Shavers knocks him down. And Larry Holmes had a good chin.
Well, and Holmes said he's the hardest puncher he faced.
And he faced Tyson, by the way. And Tyson knocked him out. Obviously, Larry Holmes was an old man at the time, and Holmes said, I did it for the money, and Tyson took him out in the 4th round.
Ron Lyle on Shavers, he says, hey, man, that's the hardest I've been hit in my life. And George Foreman could punch, but none of them could hit like Ernie Shavers did. When he hit you, the lights went out. I can laugh about it now, but at the time, it wasn't funny.
And think about this. George Foreman knocked Ron Lyle down. They fought a 5-round fight, and I believe Foreman knocked him down 4 times. Now, Lyle knocked Foreman down twice, and he's saying that Shavers hit harder than Foreman.
Yeah.
And Foreman took him out.
So
had that bald head, just kind of, came in, not very fast. It was just, lumbering in.
Methodic.
Yep. But, man, if he hit you with that right hand.
Turned 78 years old Wednesday. And died Thursday.
How many fights did he have again?
His record was 74-14-1.
89 fights.
68 of the 74 by knockout.
And he was no better than the 5th or 6th best heavyweight in the world during his era. No better than that either. I mean, Ali, Frazier, Foreman, put them in whatever order you want. And then you're going Norton would be 4th of the era. And then you start getting into Shavers, Lyle, and I'm talking early to mid 70s, not by the late 70s. You got Holmes, you got Weaver, you got Tate and what have you. But man, mention the Corey brothers, the whole deal. I mean, man.
Never happen again.
And you don't know it at the time that, wow, this is as good as it's going to get. Like we think we know it with tennis. Now, we could be wrong, but I mean, come on. Are we really going to do better than Rafa, Federer, and Djokovic? I mean, seriously?
It doesn't seem possible. But I would say it's far more likely that we get Rafa, Federer, and Joker than we get a heavyweight division like we get in the 70s. Mainly because I think there's more life in the sport of tennis than there is in the sport of boxing.
Hell,
Great athletes don't want to become boxers anymore.
Hell, I'd take a heavyweight division in the 90s. We had Bo. We had Holyfield.
Lennox Lewis.
Tyson got back in. I mean, hell, I'd take that again. Oh, well. We'll trip down memory lane there. Ernie Shavers was 78. I'll be damned.
Other thing we talked about during the break a little bit, Tua named captain. I don't know if that's much of a surprise.
Well, but he wasn't either one of his first 2 years, and remember, much was made of it. In fact, damn near every captain on the Dolphins last year is no longer with them. It's like, I think 4 of their captains from last year aren't even with the team this year.
That's interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, especially since the general manager is the same.
Right.
But it also lets you know the dynamic in the room is very different. We'll see if it's good, but
Tyreek came in praising right away his quarterback. No, I mean, hey, Hill's their best offensive weapon.
Yes.
All he has done is be ultra complimentary of his quarterback.
Good.
Yes.
Good. We paid you a lot of money. We need you to be a positive force. Talk him up. Pump him up. Because if we get him to play well, we're going to be pretty darn good.
It's just going to be really awkward if the Dolphins are not good this year.
Now, see, don't go there. Don't go there.
No. They will be good.
Okay.
They will, but it would be very awkward.
This shows the fandom of the Dolphin fan right now, that they are so glass half empty. It's not even funny.
No, I think the Dolphins fans are very optimistic.
No,
this
they're
year.
not.
Absolutely.
You just weren't, Philly.
No,
you're the biggest Dolphin fan of the show, and what came out of your mouth was 100% negativity right there. There was nothing positive that came out of your mouth. Your first words about the Dolphins that you've said on this show since we've started talking football and getting ready for the season were negative.
Look, all I said was something that is undeniable. Yes, Tyreek has been gassing Tua the hell up, which is why it would be very awkward if they're not good and they don't perform. But it's okay because they will perform. That is all. And Dolphins fans are very optimistic and very hopeful for this year in a way that I have never seen in the 22 years of my life.
Well, ticket sales reveal that. I mean,
exactly.
They're sold out. At least season ticket sales. I don't know how many they sold. I'm guessing that they will be sold out for all of their games. They have a great schedule. They have a tough schedule. Need to make headway in the first 2/3 of the season. They have a brutal 3-game December road trip. Brutal. I think it's like Niners, Chargers, Bills in December. So it's after the bye and all that. I mean, yeah. That Chargers game, could be a big game. That could be a wild card game. Winners in, losers out when it's all said and done. Never mind the whole Tua Herbert thing.
We had Pat Kirwan on the show earlier. Pat's last comments to David and I were, text me your division winners. And when it came to the AFC West, I just sat there and stared at my phone trying to come up with what initials I was going to type in. And I cannot take the LA Chargers anymore.
I know. I sent them my picks, by the way.
I did too.
All right. So we'll reveal them next week. I've got 5 new playoff teams for what it's worth. 5.
It's the right number. It's just whether or not it's the right 5.
Exactly. Get them all wrong. Look like a moron. I've done that before plenty of times. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day one coming up.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh my gosh. How about that? Mark, you see the Twitch chat?
What?
See you Twitch chat, Tony Iron Starkman.
Go Pirates.
Did you say R?
R.
By the way, that road trip is Niners, Chargers, Bills, and then back home for the Packers.
Right, on Christmas Day, and then at New England,
Yep.
right?
And
Right,
then
on January
whew,
1st.
Those are 5 games right there
Huh?
that will make or break the Dolphins season.
4 out of 5 on the road, and the home game's Green Bay.
Whew.
Right.
Damn.
Buffalo and New England in mid-December and January 1st.
I will belly flop off of Venetian Causeway if the Dolphins lose at home to the Jets in Week 18. How about that? Belly flop off of Venetian Causeway.
And the one interesting thing I will say about the Jets is the Jets had like 6 guys that they let go picked up. Now
They let them go and then pick them up?
Now think about that. They're a last place team that drafted what, top 5?
Uh-huh.
And half a dozen of their cuts
were immediately scooped.
Yeah, within 24 hours.
Interesting.
Okay. I mean, usually bad teams don't have a bunch of players that other teams are picking up. So either A, the Jets cut the wrong guys, or B, the Jets roster is a lot better than we're giving them credit for.
Do they still have Mike Davis?
Canada relief, I'm going Belgium.
You mean the quarterback?
I'm going Belgium for the World Cup.
No. Was he a running back?
Oh, I was thinking of the Mike who was there.
Mike White?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look up Mike Davis.
Yes, Adam.
No, he's with the Ravens.
Adam, yes. Please. Probably be safe to play this season with Tua, though, unfortunately.
What?
No, give me Lamar. Oh, my gosh. If the Ravens called and said, give us Tua, we'll give you Lamar. I'd say yes in a heartbeat.
So, KW, I'm curious, when you make your dough, do you use 00 flour? That was what I was told is the key.
My goodness. Sunday Christmas, then Sunday New Year's Day. Oh, my goodness. So we'll be having NFL and college football playoff?
No.
Oh, that's right. They moved it.
The semis are on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Also, I think the majority of the NFL games are on Christmas Eve. I think there's just 2 or 3 that are Christmas Day.
The Bucks play on Christmas, right?
I don't know.
We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, the home stretch of Miller and Moulton on this Football Friday, the first such Friday in September. We are off Monday, Labor Day. Back on Tuesday with a jam-packed show. David Sampson, Pat Kirwan amongst our guests. We made picks, which we'll do in the 7 o'clock hour every week. Lee Sterling has his picks. We make ours.
If you miss them, they'll be at floridasportsnetwork.com.
That's was my hope. So there you have it.
As long as Felipe over there gets busy.
All right. Well, I mean, hope he gets busy. I mean, get him up by noon. Be done with it.
I'm hoping by most weeks they'll be up, right after the segments. My intention.
All right. Well,
that's 8 o'clock.
It's pretty early in the morning, though. I mean, he's not usually, sharp.
Well, he falls asleep by 9, so I want to make sure he gets it done before the last hour of the show.
That's true. We've got to get him when maybe the caffeine's taking effect.
I think I found the solution. I switched to black coffee with 3 Splendas.
Okay, whatever works, man. Whatever works. Whatever prevents me from throwing stuff at the glass window.
Gotcha.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Not nearly as eventful as yesterday, David. We start in 1931. Bing Crosby makes his radio debut. 1940, Byron Nelson wins his first PGA, beating Sam Snead 1-up in the Monday 36-hole final at the Hershey Country Club. Today in 1945 is VJ. It's the formal surrender of Japan, ending World War II. 1962, Stan Musial records hit number 3,116. It would put him into second place behind Cobb on the all-time list. Today in 63, CBS did it, David. This is why. They expand their evening news program from 15 to 30 minutes with this guy named Cronkite. They figured 15 was not enough.
What year?
63. Today in 66, the Dolphins' first ever regular season game. Joe Auer would return the opening kickoff, 95 yards for a Dolphin touchdown. Dolphins would beat the Raiders 23-14 at the OB in front of a whopping 26,776 fans.
Damn.
What the hell did they give him a franchise for?
First pro sports team in the state, too.
Ralph Houck signs a 3-year deal to manage the Yankees today in 1969. It was the biggest salary for a manager ever at that time, a whopping $65,000 a season.
And that's right when they just started to go in the absolute tank.
Also in 69, the first ATM machine was installed in the Rockefeller Center in New York.
Huh.
We've had ATMs for 53 years. Huh, who knew? Today in 1970, the U.S. Open is the first Grand Slam tournament where a tiebreak is used to decide a 6-6 tie. It was the first to reach 5 points with sudden death at 4-4.
What year was that?
It's 1970. 71, Chris Evert and Jimmy Connors win their first matches at the U.S. Open, both as teenagers. Nicklaus in 74 wins the first Players. It was at the Atlanta Country Club. He would end up winning 3 Tournament Players Championships in his career. Those born today, celebrating birthdays, Peter Uberoth, the former baseball commissioner, is 85. Glenn Saylor is 79. Terry Bradshaw is 74. Actor Mark Harmon is 71. Jimmy Connors is 70. Eric Dickerson is 62. Keanu Reeves is 58. Lennox Lewis is 57. And Selma Hayek is 56 years old today. And that, David, is Today Was the Day When. Did I miss anything?
Michael Jackson's final number 1 was on this day in 96 with You Are Not Alone. It was his 12th and final number 1 as a solo artist.
I don't even know what that song is.
Yeah, I don't either.
Good. I don't feel nearly as badly as I did when you started that.
You mentioned Eric Dickerson. Answer to the trivia question. Most rushing yards in a season. It's still Eric Dickerson from 1984. Nearly 40 years, his 2,105 yards is held up.
Did anybody ever get it?
Adrian Peterson came within, I think, 8 or 9 of it.
And now with another game?
You would think, right? But then again, the game's changed. So, but
I mean, if it's not Derrick Henry, who is it?
Jonathan Taylor, maybe.
Right.
I mean, so think about 17 games, 2105. You do some quick math. You basically got to average about $125 a game.
If only Derrick Henry played the full year last
Exactly.
year. He finished 6 in yards and played 8 games.
Right. No, I think he was right around 1,000 yards.
Yep.
And he was, 8+ games. Yeah, it would have been interesting. Peterson actually, his final game of the year that he had either 2096 or 2097, went to overtime.
Yes.
Okay. And they had to win to make the playoffs. And they're driving and they get in field goal range. And they could have run more plays. But you're trying to win the game and the whole deal. And so eventually they kick the field goal and they win. But there was more than 8-9 yards still out there for him to have. But you obviously you just gotta get right. So
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Collier County's back at it again for the good. The Collier County Planning Commissioners are discussing if medical marijuana dispensaries should be allowed in the city. Good luck to not have to cross county lines to get your weed, Collier County. For the bad, we go to Arcadia, where Efanero Alvarez was arrested. And I have to give the man some credit. He told DeSoto County Sheriff's Office that his F-250 was stolen back in April. The problem was when they went to his house, there was a dismantled F-250 pickup in his garage.
Huh.
A couple other items and that he tried to play the same game with. He was arrested and facing multiple charges of grand theft, scheme to defraud, messing with insurance claims, and of course he had some drug paraphernalia just to kick off the trifecta.
That's shocking.
Finally, the ugly, we go to New York, where in Port Chester, New York, I can't imagine this happened, but a box showed up on the door. And it was to the address. Now, I don't know what was on the label, but the person decided to open their package that was addressed to their address. Now, I don't know what name was on it because it doesn't say. The problem was when they opened it, it was live lizards that were supposed to be delivered to a different address.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how much I would freak out if I opened a box of lizards that came to my door. Be better than a box of snakes.
Oh, man.
If I just sent you a package and there was like 5 plastic snakes in it, would you freak out?
Plastic snakes? No, I think I'd recognize it. I'd be okay. Because I'd open it and there'd be no movement.
What if there was 4 and then 1 real one?
But even if there was, I'm just thinking fake ones, and I put a little sounder in there that had a
a rattler?
Little rattle. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, September the 2nd, 2022.
Not a big fan, got to admit. Although I have toughened up in Florida, because, I mean, let's face it, they end up in your garage. They end up on your lanai. I mean, you got to either grab them by the tail and fling them out, or you got to, get your pool net there and just kind of start fencing with them and say, hey, buddy.
The good thing about pool cleaning tools, they're long enough.
Right.
They really are. To keep you that close away from the reptile.
And the racers seem annoyed by you, so they just kind of go, fine, I'll get out of here. The other ones, they're like, really?
Come on.
You want a piece of me?
That's why you keep that machete on deck, just in case.
Yeah, try not to have machetes around the house. That's just me. Rays are hosting the Yankees, 3-game series. They're 6 back, 5 in the loss column. Don't get greedy. Take 2 out of 3.
Darn right.
Be 5 back, 4 in the loss column. And then you'll play them again in the Bronx the next weekend. These are the last 6 meetings of the year, though, between the Yankees and the Rays. So clearly, if the AL East, if you think it is in doubt, this will determine once and for all if it is.
Get 4 of 6 just to make it fun.
Yeah. Plus, also, let's be honest. You're only like, 2.5, 3.5 ahead of the Orioles? I mean,
and you're tied with Seattle for the 4 spot. This is important baseball.
Right. I mean, first things first, the Rays are 3.5 ahead of the Orioles. So the Orioles are the 7 seed. They're out. So they're closer to being out of the playoffs than they are to being in first place. So first things first, just, keep winning series so that you're in. And then you worry about whether or not you're hosting the 4-5 series. But Marlins are playing meaningful games this weekend because they're in Atlanta. And they're meaningful games for the Braves. And if you're the Marlins, you take some solace.
And Serena plays tonight, right?
She does. She does. Not a great baseball week. I mean, Cubs and Cardinals play, and they hate each other, so that's always good. But Twins and White Sox play. Minnesota's 1 back. White Sox are 4 in that division. So, they're going to cancel each other out.
I'd like to see Albert get one in Wrigley. Or is it in St. Louis?
No, it's in St. Louis.
Oh.
But, yeah, there you go. Nice call. Can Albert get one this week and weekend and get to, what would that be, 695? Because he's at, I think, 694 now.
You are correct.
2 behind A-Rod, 3 away from 4th all-time, and obviously 6 away from the magical 700.
8 college football games tonight. Sparty's the only ranked team in action. They take on Western Michigan. Sparty's a 21.5-point favorite. David and I have picks tonight, however.
Absolutely.
David has Virginia Tech laying 6.5 against Old Dominion, and I have Illinois getting 1. Oh, I did pick an underdog. I wrote it down wrong. They're getting 1.
Oh, I'll be darned.
Look at that.
I was going to say, Illinois, a road favorite?
Look at that. That's a plus.
You mentioned Sparty's on ESPN2, Temple Dukes on the ACC network, Illinois, Indiana's on FS1, and the Virginia Tech game is on ESPNU. If you're looking to catch some helmet and shoulder pads tonight.
And then tomorrow, just enjoy. What a terrific day for week 1. I don't know. Every year they give us great games. This is a pretty damn good schedule. Between Oregon and Georgia, Notre Dame and Ohio State, the Florida-Utah game. Just a terrific, terrific opening week of college football. Not to mention the little fun we're having with App State at North Carolina or App State hosting North Carolina and NC State at East Carolina, along with tonight's game with Old Dominion hosting Virginia Tech.
And, of course, it must be a big night of high school football because there's a 60-70% chance of lightning and thunderstorms between 6 and 9 p.m. tonight. So it's obviously a high school football Friday.
Trust me, I know. I mean, the daughter plays soccer. We practice on Tuesday and Thursdays. We haven't had a practice. We've had out of 4 potential practices, we've had 1.
Mm-hmm.
'Tis the season.
That's it.
People mocked me when I was a columnist. I think the football season should be moved a month in Florida. The weather's better. All right. I don't think we should be playing on Friday nights before October. Everybody called me a moron.
Nobody likes change.
People don't like thunderstorms and lightning either.
No,
High school
I know.
Football games ending at 11:30, 1 a.m. Saturday mornings because they get postponed.
And there's already a huge problem with referees and getting people in. So when you move these games to Saturday, you put a whole nother set of problems in front of youth football.
I mean, the crazy idea, sorry, Mark, the crazy idea is to play hoops first and play football when we play basketball in the state. Think of the weather. Think about how great it would be if we actually switch the seasons.
I want nothing to do with what you're talking about.
Okay. That's
nothing.
Fine. All right.
We're not having March Madness be the football tournament to get to Lakeland.
No. It'd be over in February. Okay. I'd figure out a way to do it
How?
in February. Well, I'll just do it November through February.
So just part of all the seasons.
I know with the holidays and, people get bent out of shape. I know nobody likes it. I'm just saying, weather-wise, it makes
when you're
perfect
finishing
sense.
basketball. If you're starting, if you're starting basketball in the fall, you're done by the end of October. You put 2-month basketball season because you just started football in November. You can't do that.
Well, sure you can.
How do you play both sports?
Well, the seasons overlap. Bo Jackson did it.
So now we're making Bo Jackson high school kids.
First off,
I really was proud of our shows this week.
I'll do anything to make it so that kids can, not play one sport year round. Okay. But so I actually think overlapping would be a good thing. But
Right, because the coaches would love that.
Well, once again, it's not about the coaches.
Well, they certainly think it is.
I understand.
Just ask
that.
them.
I understand that. But that's all. I just hate my thunderstorms and lightning at high school football games. Absolutely hate it. Hated it. And I laugh every Friday for the last 15 years. I laugh at first half of the year with how bad the weather is. And I just go, yep, keep playing them. Keep playing them.
Miller and Moulton. We're going to start playing them tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday. We will be back on Tuesday. Have a spectacular Labor Day weekend. Be safe. And we'll be right here Tuesday morning at 6 o'clock on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and